Everyone off. Turn back on. Yeah. It just said I was signed out because somebody else is on another device. So I don't understand how this is supposed to work. Right. I'm gonna text her real quick and say we're both trying to get on it. I'm on it now, so it didn't sign me out. Good morning, everyone. I'm here teaching with Tyler today. I'm Valerie Stadnick, and I am team leader in Keller Williams Central. Can you guys all hear me? It's actually Keller Williams now Coastal. He'll be jumping on in a second, and we'll have the slideshow going in a second as well. So that you know, we'll have a few breaks. It's the same as the previous classes. Does anyone have any questions they'd like to discuss before we start the materials for today? No questions? There's some chats going on here. Testing PC, no. Okay. Would any of you guys like to share what you're grateful so far on this journey of real estate?
I'm very grateful to have like a good community of support so far as I'm getting started. It means a lot, and it's pretty helpful.
That's awesome. Yeah, we here at Keller Williams, we love to kind of come together and get you guys started and supported in any way we can. Is there anyone else that has anything to share that they're grateful for?
I wanted to share that I'm very grateful that I get to have a career, that I get to connect with people in a different way personally, and get to change their lives for the better. My friend just gave birth to her son yesterday, so I'm really excited, and I'm just happy to connect with people deeper.
That's awesome. Yeah, real estate is a very unique business that we get to be in. It's a very huge opportunity to really help people and be there for them and help them on their journey to buying a home. That's awesome. Anything else? Surely you guys are all grateful. It's Monday and we're all awake, right?
I'm thankful for the team I'm on. They're great agents. I've learned so much, and they're all so supportive. And I think that's a huge help while you're learning so much new stuff, and all the trainings that Keller Williams provides above and beyond just being on part of a team and learning.
Absolutely. That's awesome. It's good that you found a team to be on and found your place. Anyone else? We have people that says they're thankful for great education, more freedom. Looking forward to moving into a second career. So that's awesome. A lot of you guys are probably second career on this, so we welcome you. Tyler, are you about ready?
Sure am.
All righty. Let you take the show.
Awesome. Hey guys, so I am Tyler Phelps. I'm over here in Connecticut. We are Keller Williams Legacy Partners, former Greater Hartford. So we are middle of Connecticut. There's another market center right below us that has a few offices that is technically the New York region. I will tell you a little bit about myself because I know you guys are being introduced to multiple instructors as this goes on. Basically, I started my career, I'll be as quick as possible, just so you know you can relate to me, in 2016, and I started as a solo agent. I quickly realized that might not be the best start getting into real estate. I was always in sales, used to go into the top, used to always just be in number one, and I got into it super excited. First day, you know, favorite soup, favorite cologne, I am ready to crush it, and I quickly logged on and said, what am I doing? So that didn't work. And so I filled up my KW profile because that was on the orientation and got it up to 60%, felt like a realtor. So it just wasn't going well. And we had Red Day, which was cool, experienced the culture. Long story short, chatted with some teams, and I ended up hopping on a team, which was not something I thought I would do. And I quickly realized I should have been open-minded way faster, because it was awesome. It was the best thing I could have done. It was great culture, it was great training, it was great learning, it was great just camaraderie. I quickly got my first sale and just took the momentum from there. At that point, I was a buyer's agent, because back then we kind of had these two roles, buyer's agent, listing agents. And I did it, I loved it. However, I wasn't feeling as fulfilled. I moved over to sellers, and it's like my calling. That's what I thought I was getting into. I really crushed that. Got into a crossroad in which I think we all get to, especially dual career agents. I wasn't a dual career, but financial crossroad. And so I had to take a leap of faith on my own. I did that. And because it was either taking a leap of faith on my own or getting out of the industry altogether, I needed some income, and the sales weren't where I needed them to be. So I went off on my own, and I ended up doing really well. All I did was I took the principles and the training, and I plugged into Keller Williams. That's the best way. I get asked all the time, doing panels and such. What do you suggest for us? I just plugged in. So I did what you're doing today. I did Ignite multiple times. I enrolled in productivity coaching. If your market center has that, I highly recommend it. I plugged into all the free trainings. I took the 101s multiple times. And so I just plugged in, which was really cool. In 2017, I was able to do right under 10 million on my own. I did like 9.1 million at an average of like 200,000. So it was pretty good. From there, I realized after reading the Red Book and Gary Keller telling us, once you have a lead problem, you deserve and you can start your leverage team, let's call it. So I started a team, kept growing it. We did awesome, broke a bunch of crap, fixed a bunch of crap. Over the years, you get better and better. And at this point, we're a smaller structured team. Last year, just two of us with 2 full-time admins. So we're at that new org chart of like 4.1. We did like 30 million, that was good. And hoping to do more this year with just the addition of 1 agent. So had a team. So I was a solo agent like some of you are. I was on a team like some of you are. I have my own team that some of you may or may not want to have. And now I'm more focused in training and teaching and taking it from there. So that's me. Surely reach out to me anytime you have questions. I'll provide my info on our first break. Like Valerie said, we're going to have multiple breaks. We won't try to bore you to death, and we'll just get started. Ben, I believe you'll be helping me with slides.
Yes, I will be.
Cool. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get into the slideshow. As he does that, again, we'll always ask you, do you have questions? So are there any questions up to this point before we get started on finding seller leads? Cool. Didn't think so. All right. So we'll go over the, for the next slide, I believe, is just what we should be doing as agents every day, growing and running our business.
Can everyone see this? Just tap.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Looks good.
The next slide would be great. Thank you.
Cool. Yeah, that's where we are. So, I mean, basically, here's the secret to being a successful real estate agent. There is no secret. I used to hear this all the time. And we hear Gary Keller saying it all the time, that success leaves clues. So we know exactly what successful agents do every day. And they're doing 2 types of activities. They're growing their business and they're running their business. And so on the left side, growing the business is lead generating for buyers and sellers. I was in an awesome mastermind 2019, I think one of our last live events, family reunion. And I won't forget that we were in a very powerful room. I'm not even sure I should have been there. And somebody had asked a question, I think it was Jay Papasan. And for once, even at the level of the room that we were at, people were perplexed to answer it. And literally somebody raised their hand and they're like, lead generate? And he's like, yes. Like, it's just that simple, because it's almost the answer to every question. If we're not lead generating, what are we doing? If we're not lead generating, do we have a job? If we don't have appointments, we don't have a job. And to get appointments, we need to lead generate, right? So we're going to lead generate for buyers and sellers every day. One thing I'll add to this that I think will help a lot of you is lead generating can be calling, outbound calls, incoming calls. It certainly can be. This is pre-COVID, this is post-COVID. That is a type of lead gen. I think as a younger tenure in the real estate career, we get a little caught up with that's all lead generating is. Like, but I'm scared to make calls, and everyone's saying I have to lead generate, I have to go make calls or receive calls. And it's just, that's not it anymore. It's the industry's evolving and technology's evolving and life's evolving and the landscape, there's a new landscape. Lead generating, honestly, in my opinion, Valerie, you can tell us your opinion too, is it's any type of way to create a two-way real estate conversation with somebody who may have a goal now in the near future, or know somebody that has a goal now or in the near future about buying, selling, or investing. That's going to be avenues of texting, calling, Facebook Messenger, Instagram DMs, in person at your grocery store, wherever.
I just call it
whatever, right?
building relationships. It's like key. It's just constantly building relationships, and naturally real estate becomes the conversation. Once you tell them about yourself and what you do, it just becomes a natural conversation to have with people.
Absolutely. It really is just conversing. So if you want to sell more real estate, talk to more people. That's lead generating. Two, making seller listing presentations and getting listings. So we're still on growing your business, making buyer presentations and getting listings, and then previewing real estate, right? On the right side, we're going to worry about running our business. This is a lot different. This is going to be market your listings. So now you get listings, and you got to market them, showing buyers houses. So you get the buyers, you do a buyer's presentation, and then you go show them houses, negotiate contracts. That is not just a purchase and sales agreement. That is going to be your listing contract, your buyer contract, your purchase and sales agreement, your inspections agreement.
Even appraisal, you're renegotiating when appraisals come in as well. So that's a
So
huge part of it. Yep.
Yeah. Transaction management to closing. So now we found a lead, we got an appointment, converted the appointment, we're under contract, we're negotiating more contracts during that, and then we have to take it from contract to close, right? And that's part of running the business. Vendor management, of course, helping our clients set all that up. Setting goals for yourself, for your clients, for the individual transaction. We have compliance, of course, that we need to go by, and risk management, and then attend trainings and get coaching. Lastly, most importantly, in my opinion, is managing money. If you don't have a good financial real estate, or financial relationship going on with your money, you can sell as many houses as you want. It doesn't mean you're going to have as much money as you want. So basically, the goal of our time here is to model what successful agents do every day, and just to show you how to do it. And that's it. So we'll go on to the next slide, and that's going to be what we're going to focus on today. And you know, these are going to be the skills that we're going to focus on, and we're going to lead generate for the buyers and sellers. So we'll start with that one. Overall time today is 4 hours. We're going to take plenty of breaks. We're going to have multiple instructors, so you're not getting bored with just my voice here. We got Valerie. She's going to help us with the chat. She's going to chime in. I'm going to ask her to. She'll ask me, and that's it. So we're going to definitely work on
3 hours today. I think the optional was the contract practice, which we're not doing today. So I think we'll be
look at that.
3 hours.
Cool.
So
3 hours. And that'll be on, you know, finding the seller leads. That's going to be about 1 hour. And that includes understanding the motivation, qualifying, converting seller leads, pre-qualifying sellers, pre-listing questionnaire and presentations. And then of course, daily success habits, building your database and such. Next slide, please. Awesome. So this is a big one. You guys see this every class, but this is definitely going to be one. So before we talk about finding seller leads, we need to remember to comply with the DNC registry. So do not call registry. every state has some gray area. So I've talked about this multiple times. Some people will say, I totally understand the DNC. I want to respect it. However, as real estate agents, we are not soliciting anything. We're not selling anything. We're not asking for any money. So if you truly read the DNC, then are we violating anything? And the answer is yes. The people who have registered to and subscribed to the registry, they do not want to be bothered. They don't want to be unsolicited marketing calls. And I get the people who say, well, we're not doing that. It's still in there. You got to read the language fully. So let's just stay respectful and let's stay compliant when we're making our calls. Definitely most important here. And we just need to honor the consumer's request. That's it. All right, let's go next slide. Cool. So finding the seller leads. This slide is going to be about your database, open houses, and referrals, which is going to be awesome. So what is your number one job as a real estate agent? And I gave you a clue when I gave you an example. Who can tell me the number one job as a real estate agent?
Getting leads.
I like it. That is definitely it. And what do we call it to get leads? 2 words. Lead
Close.
generate. Yes, lead gen.
Ooh.
Scott just said lead gen. That is the answer to everything. Lead generate. Okay. So using your database and the daily 10-4, we have a great opportunity to find seller leads. Open houses can be a great opportunity for that. Potential buyers may also become potential sellers. In this market, we're seeing that more than ever. We're seeing it on my team. I'm seeing it individually. Valerie, are you seeing that buyers they need somewhere else to live?
They absolutely do. Yes, there's an
Awesome.
overwhelming number of buyers out there.
There are, and a lot of those buyers, they might be the people who went to go refinance, and then they're starting to explore these avenues of low interest rates and seeing that their buying power has increased. So now they're a seller that just wanted to refi, and they pause the refi and they say, wait, why don't I just get a bigger house for the same payment? And so now they need to buy, and they might inquire with you about buying, and they need to sell. And so unless we're asking these questions, will we truly know? And today's all about finding seller leads. So we need to make sure we're understanding that they're all over the place, right? And we need to basically make sure that our sphere of influence, our SOI, is being touched in many ways too, and being reached out to. Because speaking of refinancing, how easy of a phone call is this? If you're a little, I guess, afraid, some people say afraid, or I can't do it, I don't have the scripts, I don't know what to say, to make outbound calls to people I don't know. Well, can't we call the people that we do know in our sphere of influence in our database and get them in touch with our preferred lenders, or a lender that we know, like, and trust for a refinance? So now you're calling somebody from a place of contribution. And when we come from a place of contribution and we simply make a phone call that sounds as easy as, hey, Bob, it's been a little while. I saw on Facebook that you guys recently went on vacation. I was just kind of calling to see how that was. See if that would be a place that I would ever vacation, right? And so you're talking to them about something that might have sparked your reason to call them, and you kind of ask them how everything's going. You get in a house conversation, and hey, by the way, have you guys thought about refinancing lately? And if you have, my lender, I'd love to get you in touch with my lender. He or she has awesome refi rates right now. And so now we're talking to them about refinancing. And what did we just talk about? Their refinance goes from that to, oh my God, maybe we can afford a bigger house that we've always wanted for the same payment or less. Now they become your buyer and your seller. And what do we have the opportunity to do when we're helping somebody sell their house? Well, we can also find them a buyer. We can almost find that from our database and our sphere. And so now we're bringing a buyer to their sale, we're selling their listing, and we're helping them go out and buy. Right? There's a lot you can do with all that. Valerie, anything on there?
No, sorry, I was trying to facilitate. Somebody was trying to get the documents for the classroom portion. So I was trying to
Oh, thank you.
get that. Yeah, keep moving along. I didn't catch that last part, so.
All right, no problem. So you guys should be able to refer to the open house job aid in your toolkit on how to hold an open house. But that was the other part of finding the seller leads too. And that's simply just because we know that buyers can be sellers. And we'll go on to the next slide. Cool. So we're going to switch gears. We are going to learn about what comes after generating leads, which of course is connecting, pre-qualifying, and converting our seller leads into listing appointments. You know, and if one of your leads tell you that they're interested in selling their home, first you need to connect them so that you'll be their real estate agent of choice. So we always need to be connecting with the person at all times. Top of sight, top of mind, that is the name of the game in real estate. And then we start to understand how ready they are. We gauge their motivation so that we can categorize them to see, you know, how soon they're thinking of selling it and how soon they're thinking of making a choice, because that is important to us. And for purposes of Ignite, we've always used A, B, and C type of clients. And we'll go over that as well. Actually, in the next few slides, we'll go over A, B, and C. But the important thing here is that all clients need to be serviced. And so if we're gauging their information, we're taking their information and gauging their motivation at this point, and we've determined that they're a C, which is going to be, you know, months in the future. Today's B client could be tomorrow's A, and today's C client could be next week's B. And so we're always going to categorize them and take care of them, but we just need to understand and gauge the temperature in which we need to do that. And so once we think somebody is willing to sell, there's going to be pre-qualifying that we need to do to see if they're ready and able and willing to do business with you, right? And then finally, if they're ready and able, we'll need to do a listing presentation, which we're going to go over too. Then we need to secure the listing. So it's this timeline that we're going to continue to go over, right? Where do the leads come from? When we get the leads, what do we say to them? Once we've said the right things, gauge the right information, found their motivation, understand how to treat them and where they are, then we need to be able to go into presentation mode. This is a presentation-based industry, and secure our client. So each step is important. So we definitely need to follow up with all leads, even the ones that aren't quite ready yet, or we've identified that could be C's. And then we can put the majority of our effort into winning who needs our help now, right? We're going to always come from a place of contribution and care. I've always said this. So for people who are on right now, they're like, oh man, you know, I thought real estate was a little bit less salesy. This isn't really even a selling industry almost. It really is. It's a script, dialogue, presentation-based industry. We cannot force a buyer to buy a house. We can't reach into their pockets. We can't make them sign. We can't walk in and say, man, that chandelier, you must have this house for $400,000 because that chandelier. That's just not how it works. So we aren't really in a sales, crazy sales tactic industry. So don't worry about the selling. If you guys truly believe you're coming from a place of help and care and contribution, you'll do better than anybody who's trying to sell them on something. So just understand that we're going to put our efforts into winning their business by providing what they're telling us they need, which is going to be the next slide, connecting questions. Connecting questions. Super important thing of prospecting, which, you know, we covered in the lead generation model of this course. People want to do business with people that they see as motivated, capable, and likable, right? So we just need to focus on connecting with the seller so that you can gain and build rapport, and also find out how willing and ready the seller is. You know, what are the life events motivating them to think about selling? What needs or wants are they looking to fulfill with the move? And just fully understanding the seller's motivation and how strong that motivation is helps move you toward the ultimate goal, which of course is a transaction, right? So question for you, how do you think these questions that we're looking at right here help you build rapport and trust with a lead? So we got, if you would, please tell me a little bit more about your family, your job, your life, which is the who. Like, how do you think these questions help build that rapport? Anybody? And if you,
People love to talk about themselves, and when
oh, I love it, Brenda.
when you give them the opportunity, it kind of, well, it does. It portrays that you're interested in them as a human being, and you can derive a lot of information about what their needs are from that conversation.
That's awesome. Yeah, you're 100% right. And that if we let them talk, they'll definitely trust us, because I truly believe whoever asks the most questions wins the conversation. And if you notice, when you ask questions, you actually talk less, right? Because you get to learn about them. So the what, what are you looking for? What do you want to do? I like to take those what questions and say, what's important to you about what you're looking for? So now, what are you looking for? Well, I'm looking for at least an acre of land with a fully fenced in yard in a neighborhood setting. I'd like to stay off the main road. Awesome. What's important to you about that? And then, like Brenda was saying, they're gonna let you know, like they're going to give you what's important. Well, I do have an autistic child, and two other kids, and they're constantly playing outside, which we love. So if they had a fenced in backyard that was safe, and we could let them go out there, and they had a playscape and all that, would really melt my heart. And that would be, something that we would pull the trigger on, right? And we got to keep scuba diving. So this slide and these connecting questions, that's all they are. They're connecting questions, but they're surface level questions. So what's important to you about that? So the where would you like to buy? And what did I just let you know that we should be doing after we've asked the where would you like to buy question? Well, what's important to you about that? And like Brenda said, they're gonna talk. And the more that they can talk to you and feel that you're listening, and I don't care if this is over a phone conversation, a Zoom, in person, anything but texting. These initial questions should not be texting questions, in my opinion. They should be phone conversations, Zoom, or in person, because they're going to want to see your body language. They're going to want to hear your tonality. They're going to want to see your mannerisms. And if you ask a question like, where would you like to buy? And they say, well, I'd like to be in Hartford, Connecticut. And you just move on. And then it's, why are you moving? Job. When would you like to do this? Couple months. How do you plan to do this? Like, they're going to feel the lack of energy. They're going to feel the lack of enthusiasm. They're going to feel like you're not really even listening. Instead of, where would you like to buy? Well, Hartford, Connecticut, ideally. Awesome. What's important about Hartford, Connecticut? What brings you there? Well, I used to go to school there. I went to University of Hartford, and I really like the area. And I think my family could benefit from the amount of house we could get for the money, comparatively speaking to, Dallas, Texas, where we are now. Awesome. So it sounds like what's really important to you is getting the most for your money. Is that right? Yeah, it is. Great. We just acknowledged what they said. We reaffirmed it, making it okay. And then we actually anchored it down by asking, is that right? Am I getting it right? That's building a lot of rapport right there. So think of some other examples of other connecting questions you could use, and use questions that help you determine the who, the what, the where, the why, the when, and the how. And you'll really start to see how much rapport you can naturally and organically build with somebody when they truly believe you're listening. Because as we've stated and Valerie said, you want to sell more real estate, talk to more people. But when you're talking to more people, let's be as genuine as we can. And you'll be a realtor for life to some of these people by just being a genuine person. And so if you feel like you don't want to be a salesperson, God forbid I say this, but you don't want to be compared to a car salesman or this type of salesperson, well, then just have genuine conversations, and you'll watch people come to you. And it's really cool. So take a moment just to jot some ideas down on page 5 of your participation guide or your participant guide on just some other examples that you're thinking of right now from us speaking on how to build rapport and how to get trust. Building rapport is getting trust. And just take a moment, write some of those down. We'll go to the next slide and we'll give it a minute, and then we'll start there. Valerie, while they write a few things down, any questions that have really worked well for you with just connecting with people, whether it's sales or beyond that?
I just really dive deep into their why. Because if you get to their why, then you know when you're in the middle of a transaction later, you can always circle right back to the why they're looking at that house or why they need to move. And it always is super helpful to always know their why throughout the entire transaction.
Absolutely. So their why is going to drive so much.
Absolutely.
They might not even know their big why, and we start talking to them about, you know, what's your why? You mean like, why am I doing this? No, like, what is driving you every day to put your 2 feet on the ground and get yourself out of bed and do the things that you're doing each and every day for you, your family, or anybody else? And then they're like, wow, I never thought of that. How amazing is that to introduce somebody to a why?
Exactly. It can be from having extra room for kids or having the right school district for their kids that have special needs. It's so many different whys, but it is the most motivating factor, I believe.
Love it. All right, let's go to the next slide. Seller lead categories. So I told you we would talk about this. And this is in my opinion, the easiest way to rate a seller or a buyer. In Keller Williams, we also have many tools in the toolbox. Quite frankly, that's why I'm with KW, and I really could never leave KWs. We just have the largest toolbox, and when it's funny when you open it up, you start pulling some out and using them to actually work. And one of them is called our pipeline tool. And the pipeline tool is going to organize your buyers and sellers from a scale of 5 to 10. Anything from 5 to 0 is the same. However, I've always enjoyed A, B, and C lead categories because we do need to understand motivation. And at one point in my career, when I did switch from buyers to sellers, I started with expireds. So finding seller leads, right, we're on. So I started with expireds, and all I was given was a script book, and it was the same objections and then the objection handlers. And it was, it was one of those folding script books. So it was day one, I had to make my calls. I just read through each script, and I read through each I read through each objection. I read through each objection handler, and I probably did this for a half hour. And then I picked up the phone, and I hopped in the dialer. We were using Vulcan at the time on the team, which is a great dialer. We were using Vulcan, and then it queues everybody in. So I had hundreds of expireds to call. I've never called any expireds in my life. The closest I've gotten was right now, and all I did was read some objections, read the objection handlers, and I made the calls. And I was able to set some awesome appointments. And I think I set one that day, and my team lead was, super impressed, which was a good feeling. I ended up, getting, I think, 10 appointments in the first few weeks, which was awesome. I got like 6 or 7 signed. So I'm just knocking it out of the park. She's never seen it before, 6 appointments out of, or 6 signatures out of 10 appointments. My first few weeks of ever making calls I've never made before was awesome. However, I hate to admit, I don't know, more than half of those expired. My expireds became expired because I didn't know what was going on. Like, I couldn't figure it out, and it was motivation. It was 1000% motivation. I wasn't getting enough of it. I was just concentrating on the signatures, and for that, I was getting expired, and that really stinks. And so one thing I did is in front of my desk, right in front of my computer monitors, because I continued to make expireds and built my career off expireds and FSBOs, for sale by owners, is I had to go to Microsoft Word, and I had to put in like 60 font, like 60 font, motivation, exclamation mark. And I put it right there. So every phone call, I could be crushing the phone call. Here's my script book. Here's my handlers. I'm getting past all of them. I could have probably set the appointment, and yet I don't even know if these people truly have motivation. And so if we go and we get on these appointments and their motivation has changed since the expired, right? Because now they've changed their journey. but I go out there and I'm so quote unquote good at what I do, and I get their signature anyways, and we list it and we overprice it and it doesn't sell, that's my fault. I didn't get their motivation. And so I was using the A, B, and C lead categories. So let's go through those because it's super important. I don't want you guys wasting your time, wasting other people's time, and even worse, getting expireds. And so one thing that I'll tell you about myself is I try not to pride myself on the amount of homes myself and my team have sold in my career. So I'm in my 5th year, I think 434 homes or so, 125 million. Cool numbers. People say they're great. I don't think they're like overly amazing. So what I pride myself on to set myself apart at my listing presentations is the amount of expires I have. I do exclude the first like 5 that I just told you about. They're like my first 30 to 45 days. I do exclude those for full disclosure. But in those 5 years, excluding those 5, and I've had realtors look this up because they're like, there's no way you have more expireds than that. I want to say I'm up to about 11. So 5 years, it's a couple a year. They're mostly in the first few years, over 430 sales, only 11 expireds. So I'm on my listing presentations talking about how few expireds I have, not how many homes sold. And people appreciate that. And I can fully contribute that to seller lead categories and motivation. So let's just get into it. So A, what are A's? A's are able, ready, and willing to do business in the next 2 weeks. And so understanding that we have somebody who's ready to conduct business with us in 2 weeks is pretty important. Their motivation's pretty high. And we're going to take those who, what, where, when, how questions we just talked about. And we're really going to figure out where is the 2-week motivation coming from. So what's important to you about getting listed on the market actively in the next 2 weeks? Well, I actually just got my dream job. You know, I'm going to be working at Disney in Celebration, Florida, for, you know, at least the next 5 years. I got an amazing contract. I've been trying for 10 years. My family's so excited. It's been a goal of ours forever. And we really just want to start this new chapter, new journey. And I'm even willing to underprice my home to make this happen. Is that not music to our ears? Like 2 weeks. Would we have ever known that if we didn't ask what's important to you about that? And that's going back to Valerie talking about the big why. Like that's a huge why right there. It's been a goal for 10 years that can come to fruition and happen if we help them. Remember, help, not sell them. If we help them sell their house, get it listed, get the photography done, get our open houses scheduled, get our coming soon campaign scheduled, get organized in the next 14 days. That's huge, right? And so action, daily follow up to secure the appointment. We know in the next 2 weeks, they're choosing somebody. An A motivated seller lead needs to be followed up with how often? Every day, daily, right? And categorizing our leads truly do help us understand the follow-up system. So on each of these, we're telling you the action to take with an A and a B and a C, and that we are just, you know, ready to secure them in the time that we know it'll take to get to them. But it's important to follow up with the B's and the C's. So the B, right? Able, ready, and willing to do business from day 15, so right after the 2 weeks, to 60 days. So we're talking anywhere from 2 weeks to 2 months. That is fast. Because if you're out here and you're showing houses, you're negotiating contracts, you have other listing appointments, you're following up with your SOI, you got your database, you got people on Facebook because you're marketing on Facebook and Instagram. So you got the DMs and the PMs and all that stuff going on in your life. You're trying to live a balanced life, right? 2 weeks to 2 months goes by fast. B, people are still able, ready, and willing. And so what action are we going to put to them? We're going to put them in our database, which is going to be Command or whatever you're using. And we're going to call every 2 or 3 days, or at least once a week. I like the 2 or 3 days, even make it every third day, right? Because life happens. So every third day, we're contacting them, shooting them a text. If they're going in command, how many auto plans do we have in command that we can set? We can set the reminders. We can get a text to go text them. We can get a text to go call them. And so every 2 to 3 days, or at least once a week. And they're going to want to see that. And when they do see that, that is how proactive you are for their goal of 2 to 2 months. What we quickly find is this timeline shrinks. This timeline has shrunk so many times for myself. Valerie, how many times have you been gonna sit down with somebody and they say, I'll be ready in 6 months, 12 months, I'll talk to you then about it. And it's so much sooner. You're like, what the?
Yes, it does. It comes quickly before you know it. Things are always changing. So the reason to stay in touch is because they could say 6 months today, and then you call next Friday and you're like, you know what, things change. I got to actually put the house on the market in a week. So you just
Yeah.
never know.
No, absolutely not. I've heard a year before, and 2 months later, they're following up with me. Nothing to brag about. It's something to remember in real estate. It's really important so you can hold yourself accountable. It's not the job of our family. It's not the job of our friends. It's not the job of consumer or clients or customers to remember that we are real estate agents. It is not their job. It is our job to never let them forget that we're real estate agents. Top of mind, or top of sight to be top of mind.
Yeah.
Using our social media platforms, using our smart plans, using command, using texting, using leverage, and just never letting them forget. So, I've had definitely a few lost opportunities because I personally or our systems weren't up to speed at the time to continuously remind. And then you see that house listed, and how big of a gut punch is that? And it's not their fault. You cannot be mad at them, even if they're your best friends or they're your family. It's your fault. All right, so C.
I have a quick question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So could you, when you are reaching out to your clients every 3 days that are in this B category, could you give me an example of the dialogue that would take place when you're making these calls every 3 days? Because to me, that seems, right now in the position that I'm in, it seems excessive.
Sure.
So I would just love to hear just an example of maybe how that would go.
Yeah,
Well,
absolutely. Good
For
question.
me,
Awesome, thank you.
when I'm calling them every 2 to 3 days, it's more of a contribution thing. Like, how can I help you? Do you need help finding somebody to help clean the house out? I just constantly giving
Okay,
instead of asking. It's not, okay, are you ready to put your house on the market? Or can I help you do that? Or, is today, is tomorrow today? It's how can I help you situation. So you'll know from every 2 to 3 days of what their last conversation was, how you're going to lead into the next conversation.
okay.
Love
Thank you.
that. Yeah, I love that. So I have an agent on my team. She's like a year in the business, but she's a dual career agent. Asked the same thing, and Valerie just crushed my answer, because that's what it is. It's actually not it's not a real estate sales call. It's, you understand they have a real estate goal. How can I bring them something? So the cleaning, right? Hey, I know you're not quite ready right now, but I actually just connected with an awesome cleaner who's been working on a lot of our listings and even helping some of our buyers. Did you have any need to be connected with that resource? I don't know, maybe in the next couple of weeks you might use them. So there's one call. And the next call, because you've been working in the business, around the business for 2 days, and things have been coming up, and you go through something and you say, man, I just had somebody reach out to me because of a landing page I set up for them in Command about just neighborhood data. And they reached out to you and they were like, hey, I didn't know, my house was going to be worth this much. Could you tell me more about it? And so now you have something else to send to them. Hey, I don't know if this would, I'm just following up with you. I don't know if this would help you. But I just had a client reach out to me because I put them in my system and they're just getting valuations around the neighborhoods and surrounding neighborhoods. And I totally thought of you. Would it be of any help if I actually just once a week sent you an email about your own neighborhood, or this neighborhood, that prospective neighborhood? So there's 2. The third one, again, what can I bring to them that would be of value? And is it a magazine? it's not a real estate sales call. It's a follow-up call to them, their life, their future, their goals. Seems a little vague, but Valerie said it best.
No, it's
So-
super helpful. Thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and typically if I don't have the time of day to call everyone every 2 to 3 days, I know Friday's my day for follow-up Friday. So that's when I call all my clients. That's
Follow-up Friday.
before the weekend comes, so that you know that you're engaged with them, so they're not out looking somewhere, or, you know, that you're there to
Awesome.
service them.
Yeah,
Love that.
love it. The fortune is in the follow-up, I'll tell you that much. Able, ready, and willing to do business in 61 days or more. So C's could be 2 months away. Excuse me.
Could I add something in quickly?
What's that?
Could I add something in quickly?
Oh,
Yes.
absolutely.
I just wanted to add in that if you're ever having a difficult time trying to think up what value do I talk to this client about on these follow-up calls, a great resource you have in your KW command system is to go in and look at the pre-templated emails that you have within your design, KW Designs applet. You go in there, you can look up, they have information on from refinancing your home, a whole bunch of different content for pre-made emails that you can be sent out. So if you don't know about information to provide value to others, that's one place you can go to maybe look for some information to talk about.
Yeah, so I think what you're saying is if we go into command and we put somebody on an auto plan, or we design one, or we pick from the forum in the library of command, and it tells us on day 3, we're going to text them and say this, and on day 6, it's going to send an email and say this, we'll already be armed with the conversation to have with them.
Exactly. You can take this a step further by, if you wanted to, you can create your own smart plan, and by looking at these free created templates for emails, you can identify, okay, I want to talk about this email content. All right, I'm going to create this smart plan for myself to reach out to the person, remind myself to call them every 3 days. Okay, this is the content I'm going to be talking about every 3 days there. Boom, put that email template in there, and then you create your own smart plan in order to tell you when to follow up with these individuals with exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Wanted to.
Automation is the best leverage out there. Sometimes we get in our own way and we become the gatekeeper to our clients' information because we don't want to automate it. And we live in, a time where automation is everywhere and at everything. So don't become the gatekeeper of information. Definitely use technology as a piece of leverage. Thanks so much. So C's, what are we going to do with them once we understand that they're anywhere from 2 months to 20 years out? Exaggeration, but 2 months or more, right? Well, we're going to put them into our database and we're going to call them monthly. So hopefully at this point you have some type of system, and if you don't, that's okay. You're going to create it to where you have a monthly newsletter, and I'm pretty sure Command has a template like that set up anyway for you. It's a little adjustable. You can add your own content, or honestly, you can go to any of our KW pages, KWU, and look at monthly newsletter examples. And so at the minimum, you can touch a person 12 times through a newsletter. Each month, your touch programs are automatically sending an email with a newsletter in it, right? This is the most basic form of it, but it says we have to call them monthly. So, what if they get a newsletter every month, but 2 weeks after the newsletter goes out, we make a physical call. If they don't pick up, we leave a quick voicemail. And if we don't hear from them, we'll shoot them a quick text, maybe a few days after. So now they're going to get hit twice a month, right? And it's just a quick newsletter, just like getting a mailer for your, this is the best one. Can we talk to you about your car's extended warranty, right? 9 out of 10 of us are probably not going to talk about our car's extended warranty. Those calls can be frustrating, but some people do. So whether they read the newsletter or not, they press delete, they see it come through, they swipe left, they swipe right to put it in the trash or archive it. No matter what they do, I would say they at least saw it. And now you're calling them a few weeks later. They don't pick up, but you leave them a quick voicemail. They listen and never let you know they listen. That's okay. You have them on a maybe an MLS auto search alert, a command neighborhood search alert, sending them houses once in a while, like top of site, top of mind. So with the C's, like I told you earlier, basically if a lead gets scored as a C on this scale, at least, how can we ensure that we're keeping in touch with them? Well, I just gave you some examples, but the best way is what Ben was saying, is put them in command and put them on a smart plan. There's smart plans there. You can design your own smart plans, create a neighborhood landing page for the lead. It'll send them some listings once in a while. You can send them their own home value. If we're properly putting our leads into command and we're getting just basic info, we're talking first name, last name, and their mailing address with an email. If that's all we have of theirs, once we put that in, it'll automatically generate a neighborhood report for at least their house. It'll let them know what's going on in the market for their house. And we're saying top of site, top of mind. And as we do that, and the more we do that, we're going to see that we're going to get people reaching out to us, believe it or not. So we're going to try reaching out to them, but they're going to reach out to us, which is awesome. All right, let's get into a real play, which is our next slide. We're going to categorize our seller leads. So now that we've shown you how to qualify your seller leads, let's practice. So looks like here we're going to, let me just read here because this is new.
I think they have something on page 6 of their participation guide. And how they're going to qualify their seller. So we have to go into one of our own, the script book.
Oh, yeah.
I actually don't have how to qualify the seller, but you and I can kind of go through it if you want. If you pretending you're calling me, I'm a lead, getting ready to sell, and you can kind of pre-qualify me if you want to go through it that way.
I have a quick question.
Sure.
So back to like getting the information and kind of putting it into your database. So a couple of days, like for a week now, I've been going to like for example, I went to my old high school and I graduated about 2 years ago. So I went back and I kind of told some of my teachers and I was just letting them know that I'm a realtor now. And I gave up my cards. But how do I go about like kind of getting their information so I can follow up with them? Like, do I ask them for like an email or like what would be the best way to go about that?
Sure. For me, it's trying to find a way to get their email in order to send them something of value, piece of value that Valerie was talking about. So, hey, would you be interested in, by the way, I know you don't have a goal right now, and I appreciate you talking to me about that. Would you be interested if I just even sent you something monthly or a couple times a month about your own neighborhood value, so you can kind of see what's going on right in your neighborhood, right? You could put the pulse of the market of your own street or neighborhood into your control and kind of just like see what's going on. Sometimes values come up, they go down. It'll kind of show you who's on the market, who's coming off the market, what prices are. It's actually kind of really cool. Would that be okay? I would just send you an email. That's all I need. And you kind of, not going to downplay it, but it's a piece of value. However, you kind of just have to position it to where they're going to be in control of something. And, would you like to put, the pulse of the market in your own finger for your own neighborhood? Believe it or not, people are really serious about their neighborhoods usually. If they're growing roots there and they have kids in the school system, kids in athletics, if they plan on staying there any more than 5, 10, 15 years, they start coaching games and stuff. They start being on PTOs for the school. their kids are growing up and meeting neighbors. Like, people take neighborhoods pretty serious. So if you're offering just a piece of value to say, hey, would you be interested in understanding or knowing what's going on in the market in your neighborhood? Some houses are going to come up, which are pretty cool. You're going to see what they're selling for. You're going to see if they sell. Some are going to come off. You'll see the ones that are unsuccessful. It's actually really cool. You get to kind of like study your own neighborhood. It's just like once a month or something. Believe it or not, more times than not, they're going to give you an email.
Okay, and from there, would I get an address too? A mailing address?
Yeah, you would need it, right? Because you want to make sure that you're giving them valid information that's applicable to them in their immediate neighborhood. I like to use that word a lot. So right in your immediate neighborhood, you get to see what's going on. Your neighbors won't even know. You'll know more about your neighborhood than they will. And so, yeah, I just need your email to send that to you. And then, yeah, so what was your address? Just so I can put that in, because that's how I was going to do the radius.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. All right, yeah, so Valerie, we'll do a quick little role play.
Yeah, I guess so. We're going off those connecting questions is pretty much what we're doing, and how you kind of pre-qualify them with the connecting questions when you're talking to them to get their motivating factor. You can go ahead and do that if you want.
Yeah, cool. I'm actually going to get my notepad open because I like to take notes. So when I'm working with buyers, we use a script called LP Mama. Some of you might have heard of it. It's basically gauging the location which they're trying to buy, the price range, getting their motivation, agent for the A, LP, MA. Are they working with an agent? Of course, that's important. Mortgage, the second M. Are they pre-qualified? Do we need to get them pre-qualified? And then the A is getting an appointment, LP Mama. So whenever I'm doing an LP Mama with a buyer, I'm going to take notes, because remember, we want to listen. And the best way to listen and to make sure they know we're listening is to repeat. So we've listened, so we can repeat. So we're going to repeat, and then we're going to affirm, meaning we're going to allow them to be right? We're going to let them know whatever they just said is okay. Even if they, okay. The best example of this is, we all know neighborhoods that we may not personally want to or desire to live in all of our markets. And it's just a personal choice. We may not want to be there, but other people surely do. And so let's just say you're on the phone with somebody, and whatever it is, I won't even name any in Connecticut, because remember, it's a personal choice. But let's just say somebody names an area, a town, a neighborhood, a municipality, a city that I personally, for whatever reasons, don't desire to be there, and they surely do. I still affirm it. I still allow that to be okay. Awesome. So it sounds like you want to be here, and that's great, right? And then so we're going to repeat, we're going to affirm, and then we're going to anchor it down with a, is that right? Am I getting this? Isn't that so? Stuff like that. So I'm always taking notes. So I just said, we're going to role play, and even for a role play, I'm going to take notes. So it's about getting into those habits. So Valerie, you want to be the seller?
Yes, I'll be the seller.
Okay, cool. So Valerie and I at this point might have talked once or twice, maybe in the past. She somehow came up top of sight, top of mind for me. So I'm reaching out to her. It seems like she's probably a little closer to her goal than the last time we spoke. So we want to gauge her motivation, like we've been talking about. We want to get the who, the what, the where, the why, the when, and the how. Emma, could you mute for us, please?
Hello.
Thank you. You came right up to the top, and your face was right there, so I knew it was you. It's okay, technology. You guys might hear my French bulldog in the background or something at some point. All right, so ring, ring.
Hello.
Hey, Valerie, it's Tyler Phelps over at the Phelps Realty Group with Keller Williams. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing pretty awesome. What's new in your world? I think I saw on Facebook recently you went on vacation, pretty much like we all have been in the last 30 days.
Yeah, I've been traveling quite a bit, actually. My daughter's getting married, so I was in Colorado traveling.
Awesome. What brought you out to Colorado?
That's actually where I'm originally from. So I eventually want to be back there. I'm just not sure of the timeline of how I'm going to get back there and when.
Awesome. How long were you in Colorado for?
I was there for a week for the wedding,
Okay, great. Whose wedding was it?
my daughter's.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah. Are you big skier, snowboarder? You just like the altitude? What's good about
I
Colorado?
love the outdoors of Colorado, and I am a skier, so yep.
Awesome. So I am not a skier. I hope one day you can teach me. I do enjoy snowboarding, but I have not been up to Colorado. I have my first Lake Tahoe trip coming up this December, though, which I'm excited about.
Ooh, that's super exciting. You'll love the West.
Oh, I can't wait. Oh, well, that's really cool. So you went out to Colorado, you got your daughter's wedding out there. Good for
Yep.
you. Well, we got to ask you something. You said that you'd be interested in getting back out to Colorado. What's kind of holding you back?
Well, the house isn't quite ready for me to sell. There's lots of projects to do, and I'm just kind of waiting to see what the market's going to be like before I
Yeah,
list it.
absolutely.
I don't want to list it at too low of a price.
Nope, absolutely not. The markets are definitely all a little bit different, and I'm sure as everybody else is more educated about the markets, you're understanding that values are super important. You said you have some projects to do at the house. If you don't mind me asking, because I have, you know, a Rolodex of people I know, like, and trust, contractors and stuff. What type of projects you got to do?
I kind of wanted to update the bathrooms a bit. Not too much, spend too much money on it, but just make it, you know, more marketable. And my deck needs some repair too, so I'm trying to find a contractor for that.
Oh, awesome. So it sounds like, yeah, you could use maybe a little guy with some carpenter skills, remodel, remodel skills as well for the bathrooms. I definitely have a couple people in mind I wouldn't mind sending you. Is your email still valerie@gmail.com?
Yes.
Awesome. I'll send you a couple people. I mean, they even worked on my own house recently. I just bought a house over in West Hartford, renovating it so I can rent out my condo. And trust me, I had to go through a bunch of contractors. I'm starting to see why people get so frustrated.
Yeah, I'd rather get somebody that knows somebody, so that would be great if you can send that over to me.
Yeah, I wouldn't send you anybody I didn't know. Well, if we were able to help you out with those projects in you know, sometime in the future, we get your house listed and hopefully, of course, sold. Where in Colorado would you go to? Would you go like right back to the village you were from, or?
Yeah, I would probably go where my parents are right now, and it's right outside of Denver.
Oh, awesome. I hear, of course, great things about Denver. Do you like the ruralness or the suburbanness out there? What is it?
It's just where I grew up, so it's just mainly home. I mean, I love the way of life out there is totally different than here, but my main goal is to be there for my parents.
Awesome. Yeah, what's important to you about that? Just, you know, age and being able to help, or?
Yeah, just being able to help them out.
Good. That's awesome. And if we could all just do that for our parents. So it sounds like that's some motivation for you to get out there. So I'm happy to help with this contractors. Love it. In an ideal world, as we're in September, and I don't know, I personally love the fall and winter markets. Some people maybe don't. If you could put a timeline on it, so get out back to Colorado. Your daughter's wedding definitely sounds like it sparked this again, and we got those projects done at your house. We got you a fair value, again, hypothetically, and we could get you out over near Denver to get back to your parents and help them out. What would be maybe an ideal time frame? Like, would that be cool to do it by the end of the year, the start of the new year? What would be ideal if you could?
I think after the holidays would be good. I don't want to list my house now with the holidays coming up. I want to spend my last Christmas in my home.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, that best of both worlds, it sounds like to me. So let me ask you something. And I know you're not quite ready now, and you got the bathrooms to update, and you want to get that deck going, especially for before the snowfall, I'm sure. Would it be of value to you if I actually just kind of set you up on a neighborhood value alert, I like to call it? Just, again, immediately in your neighborhood, you're going to be able to see, like, if your neighbors putting their houses on the market, what are they going on for? How fast are they selling? If they sell at all, actually. You know, you'll see the ones that come off you'll definitely have your finger on the pulse of the market, probably more than anybody around you. Would that be kind of cool?
Yeah, I would love to have that. That'd be very helpful.
All right, awesome. And that way, while you're getting these projects done, you can kind of see what's going on, and then I'll definitely follow up with you because it sounds like you have a lot going on. And we'll see how the valuation emails are helping you at least, and then hopefully we can take it further from there. But definitely know that I'm here from you. It was awesome catching up with you.
Oh yeah, thank you so much for calling. I'm glad you called. I was thinking about you.
Oh, thank you so much. We'll talk soon.
All right, thank you.
All righty. So I'm glad we did that, guys. However, now it's time for you to kind of answer some questions for us. So, how did the connecting questions help me determine the motivation of her goal?
It gave you like where she wants her motivation for going and even timeline, but it also threw it out there that, hey, I'm here for you if you need me. But I don't think it was a pushy way. So I think that's a good thing.
Cool, yeah, and that takes practice. So anybody who currently, prior to that role play, was thinking to themselves, this is such a selling industry, man, I feel like I'm almost not ready for this, and I can't do it, and I can't. What were the ahas from that? Did it feel like I was like literally trying to get her signature over the phone? I could tell you what, there were some things that I heard in just my natural self-training around objections and objection handlers wanted to come out. When she said, I want to sell before the holidays. In my brain, I've practiced them so much. I'm already wired to overcome that objection. And it's a really easy one. And if I wanted to, I could have, for sakes of role playing, and to respect what she's already told me. I didn't. So don't get me wrong. That conversation, I still wanted to, I really just want to run with it, but that's not the goal of this call. So to get back to, I'm sorry, I don't remember who asked this, but they asked, well, what do the 3-day calls sound like? And so for me to make sure that I stuck to the goal of this call, which was really a catch-up call, I didn't run with these things that I wanted to run with. So
Right.
Did it help people who had this mindset of I have to sell everybody in order to get business? And if so, just come off mute and let us know, like an aha or something.
Right, and I think the conversation changes. Had it been November when I'm supposed to start to list the house, then you would have turned on that sales or objection handler of, hey, we got to get you to sign today, versus you were a care call right now, just checking on me to make sure I'm doing okay and I don't need help. So that was excellent.
Yeah, good. What else?
I just wanted to point one thing out, which is all of these connecting questions, they are all open-ended questions. They're not yes or no questions. So they're all open-ended. They form to continue the conversation rather than having the conversation end.
Yeah, that's an awesome aha and realization with these connecting questions. I didn't ask her, if I go back to my notes, I didn't ask her, did you have fun at the wedding? Right? Because that's a closed-ended question. Yes, I did. Okay. Well, this is awkward because I don't know what else to say, right? What's important to you about this and why did that happen? And so yeah, I love it. Great job. So will any of you add anything to your success list based on this activity? And if so, you guys have been great coming off of mute and telling us. So what can you add? How did this help?
I'm not sure if they're supposed to break out into groups right now to do their own role playing. I
I
believe.
think that probably was the replace of it.
Okay.
Because it was a 5-minute little exercise. And we definitely,
Sure.
Yeah. So I think what we'll do now is let's take a little break. And when we get back, our next slide is converting leads to contacts. Because there used to be a big confusion, I think, in the industry, in the real estate world, and definitely KW, because we have such great scripts and training around this. Like, yeah, I made a contact today. But what you did is you had a lead follow up with you and you tried them back and there was no two-way. So we're going to actually talk about the two-way conversation versus the one-way when we get back. But yeah, let's see, it's 10:15, perfect. We'll take 5 minutes, or I guess 4 and some change. We'll come right back at 10:20. Go ahead, mute yourselves, turn your cameras off, come back refreshed. And we'll see you guys in a couple and we'll chat then.
Perfect.
All righty. All right, I am back. We'll give everybody just another minute.
Do we have 2 more hour and a half?
Yeah, 12:15, I think.
Yep.
Yep.
Hours.
I just put all my contact information in the chat. Valerie, definitely put yours in. Ben,
Sure.
name, email, phone number. If you guys ever want to reach out to me for anything, love helping, love giving back. Of course, any referrals here, I will handle friends, family, and referrals for buyers or sellers. So I can definitely help you guys out with that too. All right, 10:22, let's get going. So now that we're finding our lead's motivation, the first step is turning a warm lead. So Valerie and I's role play, I got her from, a little cold, it's been a little while, to a little bit warmer after that conversation. So now it's about turning a warm lead eventually into a closed client. So when you are completing your daily lead generating activities, your goal is to convert those leads to appointments, right? And you might get an appointment from the person you called, but if not, you might get a referral for somebody that is thinking of buying or selling. So I can go back to the role play that we just did and actually say, man, I forgot to ask for the referral as well, which as you get more comfortable in contribution phone calls and value phone calls, you'll remember to pretty much ask every single person if they have a referral. And it's not great conversation, Valerie, do you know anybody you can give me so I can make some money, right? It's more along the lines of, awesome, it was so awesome talking to you. And by the way, while I have you on the phone, is there anybody else that might be able to either, I don't know, benefit from those same contractors, or that you might know of right now that is potentially looking to buy or sell, while I have you on the phone, right? You're not too pushy, you're not completely asking for the referral, but you're definitely asking for a little help to help somebody else. So, by creating a reciprocal relationship is how you turn a lead into a contact. So somebody that you might have permission to follow up with. Like Valerie gave me permission to follow up with her again. I proactively let her know I would follow up with her because she has a life too. I do as well, but the funny thing is my profession is real estate. So I'll send her those contractors. I'll put her on the weekly or monthly or bi-monthly neighborhood alert, and then I'll follow up with her. And she didn't say no, and she said it was okay to do the email, so she gave me permission to follow up with her. So for a seller lead, that does mean asking how you can connect with them, and eventually how can we meet, or when can we meet, and what would be best for them. For a referral, this means asking how they can connect you with people that they know that might want to meet with you, that might benefit from our contractors, that might benefit from our services, that might have a real estate goal. And so, basically when you've determined that the seller or seller referral is motivated, talking about motivation, and willing to sell, we need to ask for an appointment using 2 steps. Ask for the business. When about ready, or when would be an ideal time frame that you'd like to sell in? If we could get you the price you're looking for in the amount of time that works for you, what does that look like? Is that in about a month, 2 months, 45 days? Do you need to sell tomorrow to a cash investor? I have those too. Of course, it's going to be for less than market value, but is that a need of yours? And so we need to understand that motivation, right? So once we've determined that motivation and when they need to sell, we need to ask for the appointment. And the first question we just talked about is, when will you be ready to sell? And then we need to actually ask for the appointment. Okay, great. It sounds like you might have a need, right? Would tomorrow at 3, Friday at 1 work for you to discuss selling your home, to get you your value, to bring over your comparative market analysis, for you to walk me through your house and let me apply the human factor to increase or decrease the value as I see fit? When could I come over? When would work best for you, right?
Right. You make sure you give them 2 choices, not an open-ended, when can I come? So that's key for what you just said, that you
Yeah.
gave them 2 times.
Yeah, and that's going to take you from, we're not being passive, we're not being aggressive, but we're being assertive, delicately assertive, and we're kind of with an assumptive close. They'll pick one of them if we give them 2. If we say, well, tomorrow at 3 work, that's yes or no. No, I'm sorry, it doesn't. Yeah, sure, come, right? But does tomorrow at 3 or Friday at 1 work better for you? Right? So yeah, great. Thank you for that. Good point. What other questions can you think of that fit, the who, what, where, when, how we were talking about, that type of lining of questions for either finding their motivation or asking for the appointment? What other questions? Any that Valerie can think of? Ben?
Not any more than I can think of. It's just, they need to be a little creative, what makes them comfortable and what they want to ask, and what maybe they can tell us what makes them feel uncomfortable in doing this, so we can address it for them.
Oh, love it. Yeah, let's go over that. So what questions do you feel uncomfortable asking, or are you unsure to ask when asking for the appointment or gauging the timeline of selling? Is there something that stands out? You heard somebody in your office on the phone or anything that you're like, whoa, I could never ask that. How did they just ask that to that person?
So I have a question about that. So you have somebody who that you're talking to, you're engaging about this, and yes, maybe they're in the B or C category. Are you still trying to make an appointment in a next week or week after so that you can discuss stuff, or to open the conversations? Or are you saying, hey, when you're ready, because if they're not ready right now for whatever reason, and you're listening to them and they're not ready, are you saying, hey, are you good with me following up and maybe talking about stuff at a later date?
It's a great question, actually. So in the slide and in your participant guide, where we have the seller lead categories A, B, and C, we have on top determining if they're an A, so 0 to 14 days, 15 to 61, and then 61 and on, and then underneath action steps. And if you notice, all the action steps were how often we contact them. And then we had other questions of what do we say when we contact them. But under the action category, none of it said make the appointment. So during these conversations, we have to ask the right questions to gauge the timeline in order to see if it's time to set the appointment, or is it time to continuing nurturing. And if we're going to continue nurturing, how can we be of value to stay top of sight, top of mind? And then during the next conversation, can I say to myself, this has turned into it's time to ask for the appointment, or this is a continuation of a nurturing relationship? And then depending on what you're doing for the nurturing, smart plans, automation, physically calling, physically texting, stopping by with whatever piece of value, you'll see when the time is ready. So to answer the question, B's and C's, I will still offer an in-house appointment to a B, not a C, not yet. And the in-house appointment with the B is just something like, well, hey, I know that you're a couple weeks to a couple months out. I will let you know some people who were in your same exact timeline and same position, we'll still have them come into the office if they want. And so we have 7 offices, by the way. and you're going to have to understand the geographical location of who you're talking to. And so I'll just automatically know what office is close to them. And I'll say, so, you know, some people have in your same position still come into my office. You know, we're right here in Glastonbury on Oakwood Drive. And we kind of just go into the big screen room, and I can kind of show you a little bit more about the process, or we can kind of go over just some homes on the computer, and I can kind of get you set up on something for now if you want to look at values or to see what's out there in your same price range. Like, you know, you're going to be selling a colonial in a few months in Glastonbury. If you do want to come in after work one day, I would love to. I'll put it right on the computer for you, right on the big screen. We'll go into the MLS, the multiple listing service, which all the realtors use ourselves. You know, we pay thousands of dollars a year for that. And I'll let you browse through that and kind of show you the back end if that interests you. Any interest in coming in? Right. So I'll do that with B's. C's, that's a nurturing type of thing. Valerie, you have any input?
Yeah, so in this situation, we're strictly on the A's because the action for A is to secure an appointment. So even with the B's, like you said, you kind of will want to meet, but I always kind of lead with, I would love to tour your home just to make sure I know the value at the time that we're going to list. And that way you have a stronger idea of what that home is like. But if you ask for a tour, that kind of helps secure appointments as well. So you know what you're even working with. I mean, you're sitting here, they're an A and a B, but you have no idea what the home looks like. You really have to get in there and get that tour.
Yeah, love it. Lean on that, right?
Yep.
Show me about your home. Show me where the memories were made and what you've done to it over time.
And then kind of give them value. Like I can give you some tips on how to get ready. It's not, okay, let's hurry up and list the house and let me sell it. It's how can I get you to that point? And how you get that house.
Cool. Hopefully that helps. All right, cool. So we are on, I think, one more
Elizabeth,
slide.
were you going to ask a question?
Yeah, can I ask a question quickly?
Sure.
How would you know when to kind of like push someone or encourage someone to go from a C to a B or a B to an A? Like if you meet someone who knows, because I have someone who I'm working with, I met at an open house over the weekend, and it's a, you know, woman whose family is really pushing her to downsize because she lives by herself in like a 3-bedroom on over an acre of land. And she seems a little, it's the house she grew up in. So I know it's, you know, gonna be like an emotional process for her. I'm hoping that she's gonna want to move quickly on this, but I've kind of been, I guess, role playing in my mind. In the event she decides she wants to sit and wait, I'm wondering how I could encourage her to maybe not do that. Just because I know there's a lot of deferred maintenance on her house. And she told me she's not in the financial position to fix any of it. So, you know, I think that it's in her best interest to move so that she doesn't have to like go through another winter dealing with all of those issues. So what kind of language would you use?
I think at this point, you've just described all her pain of staying in that house.
Yeah.
So that's kind of her motivation as well to get out of the house. So you really need to reiterate to her or listen or acknowledge her pain, but also be very careful because she's emotionally attached to that home and you have to be very understanding of that. That's a huge hurdle to get over. And that's where you're building that relationship and that rapport with them to, you know, understanding where they're coming from emotionally and how you can get her to the next step and how so you can take that financial burden off of her. So that's kind of the value that you're going to give her in that conversation.
Sure. Okay. All right.
What do you think, Tyler?
Yeah, I think it's less about, well, no, I can't say that. Less about bringing her from C to B, B to A, more about discovering what you guys just talked about, pain versus pleasure, motivational points, what's important to them. And then through those conversations, they're actually going to recategorize themselves. We just have to listen for when that happens and having the right conversation in the right language with them to recategorize themselves. they're going to realize, wow, maybe I actually need to sell sooner. Or, I mean, I haven't really heard maybe I need to wait a lot. If I do, I probably said something to cause that, but they'll self-discover that the timeline's usually now. One thing I will say to everybody is understanding each seasonal market. So for me, my team laughs at me all the time. We're in New England, where we have real seasons, right? We have a real winter, a real spring, a real summer, and a real fall. And that happens every year. So I need to understand historically what the markets do. What are their patterns in each 4 of those seasons? And you'll definitely laugh when I say this. But to me, each of those seasons are the best season to sell and the best season to buy. I know how many pros and cons per season there are. So if you want to ask me, like Valerie said, I really want to sell before the holidays. Well, then my questions would have been, well, what's important to you about selling before the holidays? Well, I'd prefer not to be showing my home, when it's snowing and people are coming in and out of boots. Okay, I'm already prepared to go over the pros and cons of that. Hey, I totally get it. What's awesome about us is we provide booties, but we also ask for people to take their stuff off and provide mats. But let me tell you something about those people who are willing to trek through the snow themselves and their family to see your house, and how much more serious they are compared to the buyer who's waiting for the spring. I don't want to bring spring buyers into your house if you're going to list with me in the fall and the winter. I'm only going to bring the serious ones. And let me tell you how serious they are. They're also ready and willing and able to switch school systems to buy your home. So knowing that, aren't they also probably more likely to spend a little bit more money? Right? So I think that's an advantage for you not to wait until after the holidays, because I know what type of buyers are out there. So when you can understand each market and why they're great markets to sell and buy in, then you can have these conversations. You still come from a place of care and listen and contribution. And while you're listening, you're going to hear cues that will say to you, oh, I need to help. I don't need to sell, convince, and manipulate. I need to help her understand that that's not actually an objection and it could be a good thing. And then through that, they're going to recategorize themselves. And because we have this slide in front of us, once they recategorize themselves, you see the action. So if they go from a C to a B, we now have they're just in our database, we're calling them monthly. Now they promoted themselves. We're going to actually talk to them 3 days a week or every third day or at least once a week, having more of these conversations until our B today turns into an A tomorrow. Now we need to set an appointment.
Right. And sometimes you need to give them, sometimes they're so lost in the process that you need to give them deadlines like, okay, I'm going to have the photographer come on this day. So then they have no choice but to get their house ready by that day. So you're kind of, eventually as you get into the B and the A, you're setting guidelines and dates for them. And that pulls them into listing. With her, she seems a little nervous about everything because she's emotionally attached. And you probably need to go over the cost of keeping the home. Mortgage payments, taxes, repairs. Just say, you know what, let's just free you now from that.
Yeah, is it more important to you to continue to pay for these items that we could get you out of, or is it more important to you to stay while you try to build, more memories? Or you got to find there's always a pain versus pleasure script.
Yeah,
that's it. You got the pain, now you got to show her the pleasure side of it.
You'll figure out a way to be very organic about that, not pushy.
Yeah, if you're pushy, it won't work out. All right, cool. Let's get into the pre-qualifying sellers. One more. Yeah, right there. Cool. Yeah, so now that we've covered how we will find and convert our seller leads, let's move on to how to pre-qualify them. Basically, once we know the seller is willing to sell and has agreed to an appointment, we have to pre-qualify them. So that means before, to see if they're also able and ready to do business with you, which is important. So one thing I struggled with, and I could give you all the reasons, which are excuses, and excuses sound best to who? The person making them, that I used to give myself before appointments on not pre-qualifying and just going out there and trying to be the best I could be to overcome their objections to get a signature there. One thing I wasn't doing for a while was pre-qualifying. I didn't have a pre-qualifying script. I didn't have a call set up prior. I knew exactly what I was bringing to the appointment, what I had to do there, what I had to say, what I had to overcome. And by the end of it, hey, blue or black ink, let's get this done, right? Once we transitioned and I had the team and I had executive assistant, we were setting up systems and really had our playbook set up. We came up with this pre-qualifying script, and it ended up getting me over my mindset because it truly identifies the people who, okay, come on over to my house. I'm going to show you around, but I'm not signing anything. And the ones that are, yeah, if you come over and you answer the questions that I need answered and they're sufficient, and I like you and you build rapport with me and I trust you, I will sign with you and we will do this. We will have a relationship. You're going to get that from these pre-qualifying scripts. If you do it correctly, you will be able to make sure you're always capturing the most money per hour that you can make. It's per dollar per hour that we want to concentrate on. So to make the best use of your time, you definitely must be willing to pre-qualify sellers rather than expecting that each seller lead will become an appointment and that each appointment will become a signature. And you know, the benefits listed on this slide are going to help you understand the value of the pre-qualification with the sellers. So let's go over them. Understanding the seller's motivation. So remember, we're calling them prior to the appointment. We have spoke to them, we have set an appointment, and now we're going to call them again before we go out. And we're just going to go over some questions, nothing crazy big. KW provides pre-qualifying scripts, Ignite does, Elementals does, Elements. There's a couple scripts you can use, and you can also create your own. So we need to understand the seller's motivation prior to going out there. And when we do that, we can put ourselves in a position to be the expert, because if they're ready now, we know what to say. If they're ready in a month or two, we know what to do. If they're ready in further time, we know what to do. We don't have to say it. We're going to have to do something for them. And it's about getting ourselves set up to win the listing prior to going, because no other agents, or I shouldn't say none, but definitely the non-KW agents, definitely the non-Ignite attendees, right? They're not calling and making these pre-qualifying questions. They're not confident enough, and it does take some confidence. So we're going to set ourselves up to win the listing. And throughout these questions, we're going to set ourselves up prior to going for the right price. So it says allow you to price the home to sell for the most amount of money in the shortest time frame. So we need to understand, are they ready to realistically price it prior to us going out there? Because what does that do once we're there? If we've prepared them, what's that going to do for us once we're there? It's going to soften it. It's going to make our conversation easier. So remember when we were talking on the phone and I asked you if you are prepared to set your price or set the price of your home according to the market data I'm bringing you today, which is going to be a fair price for me to give you the best opportunity to get the most in the shortest amount of time. And you said you were okay with that. Well, let's go over that price now. We just reminded them that they said they would be open-minded to this. And so that when we present the range that may or may not be in where they want it to be, they have already subconsciously told us that they're gonna be open-minded. And so that's what this is all about, this pre-qualifying script. And then lastly, it's properly setting the seller's expectation. So allowing us to give a great customer experience. So we have nurtured them, we have nurtured them more. We set an appointment with them. Prior to the appointment, we were prepared enough to go over some prior questions, pre-qualifying questions. Now we're at the appointment, we've walked the house. I take measurements of the rooms with a laser room measure from Home Depot, $50. they're talking, I'm measuring rooms and writing them down. I might not do floor plans on their house. I still have the room dimensions. How professional does that make me look? And so to set ourselves up to give great customer experience and, differentiate ourselves from others, these are the types of things that we're going to do. So now we'll look, at the tool in the toolkit that will help you get through this process. The pre-listing questionnaire.
Yep, exactly.
Cool. Well, this is the template. So basically, in a moment, we will practice using the pre-listing questionnaire. Valerie and I will just role play it again. And this questionnaire will help you determine how quickly you may be able to get into business with your lead. And then you'll notice that the questionnaire uses many who, what, where, when, and why questions to facilitate the process.
So each of you guys have it in your toolkit. Pre-listing.
Yeah. Do you guys have the Ignite toolkit in front of you, printed out or electronically? Do you know where to get this pre-listing questionnaire?
Should be in the link that we just put in the chat previously.
Okay. So the link is in the chat.
I think the script book is in there, but I think I put the link for the Google Drive. Yeah, Jen at 9:30 in the chat put a link for the tools, I believe.
Cool.
So it's like 1 through 11 questions, pretty much.
All right. So yeah, you wanna Valerie, why don't you call me this time, and you're gonna ask me that question right at the top there. Do you have about 5 minutes so I can ask you some very important questions before I come out to meet you? So again, at this point, she's already nurtured me. She's already set an appointment with me. It's going to be, what are we at? We're at Monday, right? So it's going to be, let's say Wednesday at 3 p.m. But she is proactively calling me with a pre-listing questionnaire. Cool.
Hello, I called you. Ring, ring.
Hello.
Hi, this is Valerie. How are you?
Hey, good. How are you, Valerie?
Good. I was just calling you for a few minutes real quick before I come to see you this Friday. I just want to ask you a couple questions.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I'd like to kind of go through stuff before I go, so I'm prepared. I just wanted to remember now, how did you hear about me again?
I believe we connected. I was just Googling agents in your area, and you were one of the ones that followed up with me. That was a while ago.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I couldn't remember if somebody referred you or not. So yeah, thanks for that. Helps to know what's working for me or what's not. So where are you moving to? What is your primary goal? Where do you want to be?
Yeah, so I'm gonna move up to Boston, Massachusetts. It's one of my favorite cities, and I'm just gonna be right on the seaport. Grab a nice little condo for myself, as high as I can go.
Oh, okay. So that's your main reason to go there is just for the lifestyle, or do you have work there, or what's going on? What's the big pull?
Yeah, I mean, I've always thought about moving up there and kind of transitioning my skill set of my career up there. And yeah, I like it. A lot of young professionals.
Yeah, it is a great lifestyle there. I love Boston. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Especially near the seaport. That's an awesome place to be.
Overpriced, but I'll take it for now.
Absolutely. How soon do you want to be there? I mean, when do you want to move?
So, I have a condo, I have a house in Connecticut. So I would rent the condo out, and you're coming over to potentially sell the West Hartford house. So depends on that timeline. Before the new year would be cool.
Okay, so it probably makes sense for sure if we get it listed quickly, because by the time we get it under contract, it's probably another month and a half out before it closes. So that'll put us right around the holiday season.
Yeah.
So we'll try and get that sold for you quickly.
Yeah, if I get a decent price for it, kind of, what I have in my mind, then we'll get it done.
Yeah, absolutely. So if we sell the next 30 days, that won't pose a problem for you then. We'll be able to move forward and get you to Boston.
Yeah, if we're talking, right price, then you could get it sold tomorrow for me.
Okay. So what is a right price for you?
I'd really like to get 400.
Okay. What would you do if the home didn't sell? Would you be okay if you were able to stay where you're at, or just trying to get a feel for what your plans are?
Yeah, so I'd be fine. It's just to get me up there. I'd prefer to sell it, pull the equity out of it. Yeah.
Okay, so you're super motivated to move. Nice to hear.
Yeah, I mean, it's up there.
So you think you want to list it for 400? No, I think the market's probably right around that area. So we'll explore that when I come to your home and make sure it's, priced correctly.
Okay.
How much do you owe? Do you owe a lot? I mean, do we have a mortgage on the property, or is it free and clear?
Low 200s about. I'd have to take a look.
That's perfect. So I'll be sending you a packet of information, just a few minutes for you to review it before we meet. It's my pre-listing packet. I'll just kind of tell you what I do and what my services are and how to prepare you to list your home. Do you have any questions before we meet?
Yeah, what price were you thinking?
Well, I really would like to tour your home before I can give you a price, but I'm thinking it might be maybe in the high 3s, maybe the low 4s. I just really would like to make sure I have an accurate number on that when I come see your home, and kind of you can give me the tour and show me all the pluses about your home.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, that sounds good. What commission do you charge?
I typically charge 6%. But we can discuss that once we are in our, I come visit you, and we can kind of go through that in detail at the
All right,
appointment.
yeah. I think 1% would be fair, so I'll see you soon.
1%. I love it.
Oh yeah,
All right.
Redfin's over here. You got the best bang
That's
for my
right.
buck.
So are you the only decision maker, or is it owned by both two of you, one of you?
I file my tax return single, and I just have a dog.
That's it. All right. Well, I look forward to meeting with you.
All right, sounds good.
All right. We'll see you Friday.
All right.
Thanks.
Cool. So how was that? Was that like weird? Are there people that are saying to themselves, that's not something that sounds like me, right? That's not something I could do. That was too invasive. Give us some feedback. How are those questions?
Well, I have to say, from my point of view, you made me uncomfortable when you started to ask about commissions.
Yeah. And
I could get there.
For sake of role playing, I did that on purpose.
Yep. I figured you did.
And for another day and another time in class and training, I would tell you, you never want to say a percentage. And so I think for people who heard that, they might have said, well, I'm going to be 7%. And then some of us on this call might have been like, oh man, I thought it was only 5%. And
Right.
It doesn't matter the percentage. And you can say the same thing in every market. Because to my knowledge, there's not a fixed market. So it's as simple as,
we're not even.
yeah, well, what's really cool about that, Valerie, is it's completely negotiable, and we're going to go over that when I get there.
Yep.
That's it. You try not to ever give a percentage. It's just completely negotiable. We'll go over that when I get there. And if you're a 6% agent, good for you. We are too, sometimes 7. And it's just about what you provide. You can't just be a 6 or a 7 and
Right.
provide.
That's
them
why I
benefit.
said typically, but then that was kind of leaving the door open to.
Oh yeah, that's
It
why I
could
was like,
change.
I don't know, 1%. And that was a joke because we're seeing some people out there with that question. So anyway, overall listing questionnaire. Who can give us some feedback? Do you see yourselves using it? Are there questions on there you don't feel comfortable asking? Let's use this time to talk about that.
I liked the last question, number 5. That if we saw your home in the next 30 days, will that pose a problem for you? That's kind of a good way of asking, like, how motivated are you, or how quickly are you looking to move?
Yeah, absolutely.
That question tells us a lot. So thanks for saying that, because I mean, let's think about the answer. So, if we were able to sell your homes in the next 30 days, would that pose a problem for you? Some of us on this call might be like, well, why would that propose a problem for me? I myself, it doesn't propose a problem for me. Clearly, I'm flexible in my career. Clearly, I have places to go if it sells quick. And clearly, I know where I want to go. So in my head, when I answered it, it's like, let's do it, sell it tomorrow. However, that's not everybody. You call somebody who has a family, who has roots grown, who has school systems to worry about, who needs to get their job accepted in the future. And you say that same question and they say, oh, no, we can't sell it that soon, Valerie. Like, no, I mean, maybe 3 or 4 months. That's huge. That just told you a lot, right? So that's a good one. Any others that you guys liked, you didn't like?
I think number 6, what would happen if your home did not sell? That's kind of saying that you're not going to get the job done for them. So that's kind of a difficult question to ask.
I love it. And that's why we do this. It's always a perspective. Your perspective is different than my perspective, different than Elizabeth, who just talked about question 5. And for me, I love that question. I love that question because it's the pain versus pleasure. So you kind of got me excited about my goal with questions 1 through 5. I told you a bunch, like, I love Boston. It's been one of my favorite cities. I actually expanded into Boston and joined the Boston Market Center, and I was going to start expansion up there, and then COVID happened. So when we do these role plays, I'm actually being serious, and all my answers are the truth. And so, it got me excited about it again. I love Seaport. I go up there all the time. I just had my birthday up there with a bunch of people, and it's my juices are flowing. You said, how soon do I want to be there? Now in my head, I've already put in holidays. I'm thinking about getting up there for the lighting of the tree. I don't know if you guys know this, but the Boston lighting of the tree that takes place in Faneuil Hall Marketplace, Quincy Market, that tree is larger than the New York Times Square tree, like the Rockefeller tree. So it's a big deal up there. So I'm thinking like, oh, I'd love to be up there for that. And then I take a 5-minute Uber to my condo, right? And so you got me going, and then you kind of shifted the energy of the conversation. You're like, well, hey, what happens if we don't get you to your goal and you're not able to get up there? And now in my head, I'm saying to myself, oof, well, that would freaking stink, right? But for you as the agent, it's a good question to ask. Again, everybody's perspective is different and mindset around this question, and this is why we're doing it. For you as the agent, yeah, you shifted my energy, but now let's gauge my answer. Well, I have places to go, I would figure it out, but I'd like to be up there. Okay, so, what I'm hearing is you definitely want to be up there. And if we couldn't get you to your goal because maybe you chose a price that wasn't going to allow your home to sell, or you were being, unrealistic about some of our marketing strategies we're going to go over, that would be pretty defeating and disappointing to you. Is that what I'm hearing? Yeah, I mean, it would be. And what do you mean about like, if I'm not realistic about the price? Well, great question. You said you wanted 4. I know I'm around, high 3s and lower 4s. If I were to come over and we go over my marketing strategies, and all of a sudden you go, wow, you do way more than the last agent. Can we sell it for 500,000? Well, Tyler, I gotta disappoint you now, disappoint you later. We can't get you 5. So that's it. Nothing crazy. So now you've let me know, like you put in my mind, I have to be realistic on price. I got to be realistic on marketing, or I might not be able to watch the tree lighting, get my condo and hang out in my condo, right? So I like that question, and it's all perspective shift. What other questions? How about, I'm surprised nobody's saying anything about how did you hear about me and where are you moving? Because if we think about the timeline here, we were nurturing the lead.
I thought that was awkward.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, it is.
Don't I know this already?
Correct. You do know it actually. And that's what I'm surprised nobody's like, why are we asking them that? You set the appointment, you got their address, you know their name, and at the top, it says the name and all that stuff. But then you asked me, how did you hear about me? you got to think at one point it came out, right? So it's just a reminder question. Just so I could write it down. How was it that we were connected again? Or, you know, where did you end up hearing about me? And it's just a reminder question. But the second one, where are you moving? Like, you should already know that, right? Like, you should have already explored that. So
Right.
if you know it, shift this question. I remember you said you were moving up to Boston when we talked X amount of months ago. Now you show you listened. What was important to you about moving up to Boston again? So it's again, it's like, I know we talked about it. I remember we talked about it. I just proved we talked about it. You know, what was important to you about getting up there again? So shifting the question a little, you know, asking them in your way, your version, that's all okay. This is why we're going over it. Cool. All right, well, let's keep it going then. So we just did that. Cool. Now we're going to take a look at the listing presentation. Super important, the heart of finding and converting seller leads. The listing presentation, and let's see how we can use it to construct the pre-listing packet that we're going to ideally send in the mail for them to already receive, look over, put some ink down, you know, put some ink to the paper, and we can send that prior. And the benefit of taking the time to do a pre-listing packet is for potential seller to set the expectations with them, show them your value, and win that listing. Let them know how serious you are and that you are going to do this proactively. So let's get into the listing presentation. And is it the same link that we sent in the group chat to be able to get here for the 2 listing presentation templates?
Do you want the priest? I think they should have it in their tools.
I think we have to log in a command. Ben, is this something you can do, that you can log in a command and get the listing presentation in designs?
Yeah, I think they're supposed to show that to them.
Yes,
Um,
I can. Let me pull that up on my screen.
Perfect. So Ben will pull that up for you. And that's where we're going to get it. We are blessed enough at KW to own all of our technology, to have a CRM like command, which is just, I'll let you guys know, I was spending $1,500 to $2,000 a month using Brivity, which if you're using Brivity, I'm not telling you get off of it. Amazing platform. Ben Kinney is a mastermind, but I was spending $1,500 to $2,000 a month. So that's anywhere from $18,000 to $22,000 a year, $24,000 a year. And I have completely now transitioned into Command, and we use Command at a pretty high level. And just to tell you all about the savings that Command can really help you with is incredible. And so that's where we're going to grab this listing presentation.
All about leading with revenue, right?
Yeah, really.
So I just wanted to take a second to walk people through how to get to that design aspect.
Yep.
So if you open up and you log into your console.command.kw.com and you log in, what you want to first do is click the red KW in the top left-hand corner. That toggles over the names. Then you come down to designs, and it's that little paintbrush over that square right here. So you come to designs, and then what you want to do is come up to hit create design. When you hit create design, it will prompt you to either do email, social, print, or video. In order to get to the templates or the WeBrand site, you need to click on social and then hit continue. This will redirect us to the KW WeBrand site portion of your KW command system. When we get here, we have the templates here on this left-hand side. The second one down here is for listings. And then we are looking at expert.
I think those are the flyers. The listing presentation, I think, is before that.
Before that? Hold on.
Yeah, I don't think it's in the social part. Here we are.
You can also use the search button up top, search
Yep.
bar up top if anyone gets confused trying to find templates. So for this listing presentation template here, you have on this left-hand side under templates, you have all of these different pages that you can go through and add to your listing presentation. Then on this bottom right-hand corner here, you have all of the different pages with it that you have within this. So right here, we can see, we can scroll down and walk through this. Not sure, do you want me to walk through this or do you want to take over and I can just be your mouse?
Yeah, we're actually going to pair an exercise with a break in a few minutes. So I'll actually just talk a little bit about the two pretty much crucial roles that both the pre-listing packet and the listing presentations focus are. And then we'll do a 10-minute break / exercise. And during that break, we're going to let them actually poke around with this. So thank you for showing them that. On the left, you can click customize. On the right, you can take out pages, add pages. And so we'll kind of let them start like customizing it. And then we'll come back and kind of go from there. So thank you for that. So yeah, hopefully everybody knows how to get there. If you don't, definitely let Ben know or put it in the group chat. But yeah, let's take a look at that now. So basically an effective pre-listing packet or pre-packet positions us as the realtor of choice. We are the best person to get their house sold for the best price in the least amount of time. And here's the important part that you always remind them, with the least amount of hassle. If we're going to be sending a pre-listing packet, which is going to have some stuff about us, a resume, it's going to have some of our contracts already in there for them to review and sign. We're going to send it with their name at the top and their address. We're going to do a little bit of themselves. We're already setting an expectation that we are going to be the realtor of choice. We're going to sell it for the highest price. We're going to sell it in the least amount of time. And we're going to make sure they have the least amount of hassle. So the packet plays, like I said, two crucial and critical roles. And the first one is pre-selling. So the pre-listing materials are literally and specifically designed to build sellers' confidence in us. And again, Command provides this, whatever platform you're using hopefully provides this, but it answers their questions and objections in advance of our presentation. So we're going to send them a little bit for them to already see tangibly, and they're going to say to themselves, wow, okay, this is what I can expect from them already. So we're already answering questions that they might have had. And then the second one is saving time. And so a strong pre-listing packet will make the consult, because that's what we're doing at these presentations, it'll make the consult way smoother and probably shorter than it otherwise would have been. If we send a pre-listing packet and the first page says, here's our pre-listing packet, it's a few things for you to review. Please take a moment to look over the, we like to call them loyalty agreements, right? That's the exclusive right to sell with us. So take a look over the loyalty agreement, which hires us as your realtor. If everything looks good, you can go ahead and sign it. Following the loyalty agreement is the disclosures. You know, it's in our state, it's a 7-page report. If they don't fill it out, they're going to have to pay the buyer $500 at closing. We have another one. It's a foundation disclosure. It's 2 pages. Again, if they don't furnish it to the buyer, they have to pay $500 fine at closing. Please take a look at these. I already put your name and address at the top. If you have time, could you please go ahead and start filling these out? They're required documents that I want to make sure that I'm not having you pay extra money for no reason. So if we're already sending this and they're filling it out and they're already getting answers to questions that they had for us when we were coming in there, is this going to make it a longer consult or a shorter? Pretty simple. And it just really positions you as that professional. And so that in Command, where Ben has showed us the designs, applet, and then we can choose, the plus sign in the bottom left, select, print from the templates, create, all that good stuff. We can go modern, we can go classic, and he has the two to the right pulled up, modern and classic, and there's some other ones it looks like in there. And so it's totally up to you. Notice that this is a listing presentation, and what we're going to do here is review the presentation. We're going to modify it, keep the pages and sections that help us, that accomplish the task of building the seller's confidence in you, and that eventually make the listing presentation easier and smoother, right? Because we're going to prepare for what's to come.
Ben, sorry to cut off.
Yeah.
We have Sean who's on here saying he can't find the listing presentation choice. Can you, I know you just found that. What headings did you click on? Can you run through it one more time for everyone so they know where to look? You're on mute.
I should unmute myself first. That would help. Yes, I can. I was actually going to respond to him via the chat, but I'll do it right now. So how you can find it is if you go up here and you just click on templates, right? What you're going to see is all of these here. Now, something to keep in mind is KW app is going to be at the top, and then listings will normally be the second one down. So it's the second drop down, and then this one is the third one down. Now, if your view doesn't look 100% like this, then the best way to identify where this is to simply type in listing presentation up at the top. Up at the top, and all of the different templates will pop up for you. I hope this helps.
He says he has it now. Yep. Great.
Awesome.
Thank you, Ben.
Cool. Thanks for that. So where were we? Okay. So you guys understand where to get it. Okay. So I know where I was going to go with this. So I'm not sure if any of you on this call, hopefully you're not, because this is a region call, sell in Detroit, Michigan, and any surrounding areas in there. I have a really good friend of mine who has wholesaled, and he buys properties all over the US. His goal is to have bought and sold in all 50 states. He's up to 25. So we've talked about like the Detroit market a lot. And the average house in Detroit, it's a lower value than most of our markets up here. I won't say all of them, but I mean, you can get yourself a single family house. Yeah, it needs some work for like 25,000, right? Which to some of us seem crazy, to some of us that might be normal. But given the two types of listing presentations we have, or it looks like Ben has multiple up there. The point of this is basically, are we going to go modern, or are we going to go classic? If our target audience and the person we set an appointment with, and the value of that home is $25, $50, $75, $100,000. For me, I'm probably going to go classic on the listing presentation. I'm going to study the pages. I'm going to remove some things that just are not applicable for this price range. I'm going to add some stuff that will be applicable to this price range. And then on the contrary, right, the other side of that scale, if I have a $2 million, $3 million, $5 million, $10 million listing presentation, is the home a very modern home? It's very chic. It's it's very trendy. It's unique. It's different. I'm going to go modern listing presentation. I'm going to take some pages out. I'm going to add some pages, right? Because we're going to want to always make it relative to who's in front of us. And so what we're going to do next is we're going to take that 10 minutes. So look at that. We're doing well with these breaks. It's 11:15 again. So now we're going to give you a few minutes to practice, creating, customizing the listing presentation in Command. So if there's people here who are going to actually take this 10 minutes to do it and you can't access it, please put it in the chat. It looks like Brenda, you raised your hand. Did you have a question?
I did one of the presentations, and I will say that what I found a little tricky is when you open it, on the left-hand side, you select your pages that you want. And then on the right-hand side, you edit it. and I was trying to edit as I was going. And what would happen is it wouldn't save my editing. So just be aware of playing with that portion of it, I want to say, because I'm not tech savvy, but it was a little irritating to do the same presentation like 7 times before I figured out what I was doing wrong.
Well, thank you for that. Not everybody is tech savvy on this call right now, so I'm sure that.
Tyler, before we jump off.
Yep.
We do have a question, the difference between a pre-listing packet and a listing presentation. You want to go over that with them?
Before you get into that, let me just tell one thing, and that is it does autosave for you when you're in KW Designs. So make sure you come up here and you have autosave selected as on, because if you have that accidentally turned off, it's not auto-saving for you. Also, when you're working on any presentation, the autosave does happen, but from time to time, it doesn't autosave at the correct time. And then, like, let's say your Wi-Fi goes out. So I always recommend coming up here and hitting file and hitting save. So just make sure you're saving your work all the time. And hopefully that mitigates the times where the presentation resets for you.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for that. And thanks, Brenda, for the question. So Ben was able to do that with us. And then getting back to pre-listing packet versus listing presentation is a question, right? So the pre-listing, was it the pre-listing questionnaire or the pre-listing packet?
It was the difference between the two, pre-listing packet and pre-listing presentation. So
Got
pretty
it.
much
Yeah.
guide to selling your home versus.
Yeah. So the pre-listing packet is going to be an introduction to yourself, indirectly setting those expectations we talked. Everyone's pre-listing packets will contain, some different items, and some will contain the same. What I like to recommend is, what are we sending them? So the front page is going to be, this is a pre-consult packet that I wanted to provide to you for you to read and potentially fill out at your leisure. It's about some of the practices that we best use. There's a resume of us in it, including our background on homes in your area. And if you don't have any sold in the area, pull some from your KW Market Center homes that were sold in the area. There's going to be some reviews in the back of this of previously satisfied clients that I think you will appreciate. And then the meat of it, you definitely want to have some contracts in there. You're going to want to have a purchase and sales agreement in there that they can review so they understand what's going to happen with the buy side once their listing sells. You do need to have the exclusive right to sell or the open agency if you're doing open agency, whatever contract you're going to use. But you need to have your relationship agreement in there. You're definitely going to want to have your disclosures in there. I would put the inclusion exclusions in there. Any foundation reports, this is all stuff local to us. I'm going to fill the meat of that with things that take the most time when I'm there, that take away time for me answering questions, walking the house, and going over price and commission. So if I can get all the state required documents out, my resume, so they know about me, our reviews, satisfied clients, our website, our contact info, they can do research on us. It's going to be the minutia that we would have to go over anyway, and we probably still will. It'll just be a lot less time. That's a pre-listing packet. The listing presentation, this should mostly be used for you're carried into the listing consult with them or with yourself for them. You're going to walk the house. I do the measurements while they're talking. I'm writing down notes. Just upgraded the appliances last year, did a roof 4 years ago. About how much was that? Okay, it was $12,500. Got it. We're walking the house until we get to the table, right? The point of a listing is to sit at a table and hopefully get the signature. So we get to the table, and in my listing presentation, I have my comparative market analysis, because we need to go over comparables that sold that are applicable to their house. We need to go over the price range that we feel it's suited for. We need to establish a price with them now that we have the human factor of walking the house. And then they're going to have the same questions, every seller. Commission, how much do you charge? We need to be prepared with that and why we charge what we charge. So where in your listing presentation are your services? And is there more than one set of services you would provide for X dollars? And so that listing presentation is going to queue you up to get your signature. The pre-listing packet is going to queue you up to set expectations and be the realtor of choice. And then those two combined have set you apart. So very important to do, but great question. Hopefully that helps. Cool. All right. Well, we do want to get everything in. We still have, a few slides. And then you guys are going to have time for your calls. So why don't we give you that 10 minutes? Cool. We'll give you that 10 minutes. It's 11:21. Let's go 11:22. Let's go 11:32. Take this for a quick break. Again, mute yourself, take yourself off camera, come back refreshed, open up this listing presentation like Ben is playing around with, customize it, save it, make sure your auto save is on, gather questions, see if you like modern, see if you like classic. Just take that time for yourselves on your own and write down those questions, and then we'll address them after this activity break. And then that's it. We'll see you in a minute.
Sounds good. See you in a minute.
All right, hopefully that was a decent amount of time. About 10 minutes there. Let's get back to it. Not much more, guys. Thanks for hanging in there with us. Yeah, so we're still on that slide. Cool. All right, let's discuss what are some questions that people wrote down from performing just, you know, this short little exercise and trying to customize our listing presentation. Questions of help, questions of concern. What do you got? Nobody wrote anything down?
I think I need to do this 66-day challenge of command, because there's like so many things that you can do on command that I think I need to learn to utilize all that's potentially there for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that challenge. Definitely commit to that challenge for yourself. Command. Our market center, I don't know about yours, pretty much got to the point where we're getting, you know, no more green sheets, must be compliant in command for us to get paid. We're pretty, you know, we rely pretty heavily on command. I've used multiple CRMs throughout the years. One called Lion Desk. It's like $30 a month, great for a single user, had auto campaigns, auto plans, some scripts. That was good for 2 users. I went pretty much through Mojo, Foul Up Boss. My old team from the story I told you in the beginning used Boomtown, which is, you know, thousands of dollars a month. I've checked out Commissions Inc. I loved Brivity, was on Brivity for years. We're talking 20,000+ a year in Brivity. And so I was pretty apprehensive and I was giving pushback to command. It was getting worked out, the kinks and everything. But I can tell you, the more I was forced to use it, the more I enjoyed it. And now writing offers is just like, man, minutes. My team's listing coordinator loves it for keeping track. Transaction coordinator loves it. Executive assistant loves it. I mean, it is an awesome tool, and the cost is pretty awesome because it's free. So learn it. I mean, it's only going to increase the effectiveness and efficiency of your businesses, allowing you to serve more people at a higher level, which in turn does put more dollars in our pockets. And you know, luckily we're not a publicly traded company. We're still owned by the person who created the company, who has full decision-making power, as long as ALCs agree with it. And we have an international IALC, and they have to be in agreement with changes too. And it's amazing that one of these changes was owning our own technology from the infrastructure up and owning all the data about it. It's a great system. It's not going anywhere. It keeps getting better, and the artificial intelligence inside of it will help us too. So anybody like Brenda who feels like they're uneducated or undereducated on it and could use more training, maybe you commit to that challenge too, 66-day challenge of getting to use command. And I know that our market centers certainly are teaching command. They should be, at least, and at a pretty high level. So take advantage, check your calendars, and get out there and definitely get used to it. It's awesome. Just to have, like, you know, we also have something called the Michael Lewis Marketing Suite. And that has listing presentations in it as well. And guess what? They're not customizable. So command is the hub to everything marketing that we need, really. It's really awesome. So love it. Thank you. Any other input or questions that you wrote down from just this exercise, or any items that you're going to be able to add to your success list based on this exercise?
Can I just ask to make sure I was doing this correctly, because it seemed a little glitchy when I was working through it, but we followed the directions there. We go into command, we go to designs, we go to create designs, and then I was selecting print designs just to get straight to those templates that you guys had come to. You have to send that to command first, right? You select your template and then you have to send it to command in order to be able to edit it. It didn't seem like you could edit it straight from the template.
Ben, could you elaborate on that?
Sure. Yes, I can. So you can go in and edit it if you're trying to print it out. Scott, you went to the printable area and then could you just rephrase what you just said? I just need to.
So okay, so just assume I navigated to the same page that you did with was it 4 or 5 templates?
Yep.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 templates. Can you edit it straight there in Command, or do you have to,
Yes.
on that page, or do you have to actually send it to your own Command account? Because I couldn't figure out how to do that. I had to
Nope.
send it to
So when you log in to KW Designs, this is still your Command account. So this is your rebrand piece of your website, but that is still your Command system. So it's not like all of those templates are like everyone sees that same view. Those are the templates listed for your piece of Command. So when you go and you click use on any of those 5 different designs, you can go in and use it. And then on that left-hand side, it'll show you all of the different pages. And then on the right hand at the bottom, you'll see a list of the pages that you've already added from the template.
Okay, that's what's not working. I don't know if it's a Mac
And-
thing or something, but when I click use, I just get a blank screen on all of them. If I click use, it just immediately the screen goes blank.
Okay,
I mean, I
that's
still have my Command navigation on the left, but the editing field goes blank. So maybe it's a Mac thing. Maybe it's not really functioning with Mac. I don't know.
that doesn't seem like it's working correctly on your system. I would go back to the home page of Command and hit the question mark up in the top right corner and speak with us, the development team through the live chat.
Did anybody else have that problem out of curiosity? When they hit use, it just goes blank?
I don't have the ability to edit mine either.
Let me walk you guys through it one more time just to make sure it's not a user button thing.
Yeah, show us. Yeah, sure.
Okay, so can everyone see this? Can everyone see my screen? Just checking.
Yep.
Okay, awesome. So you're coming to templates, right? And you're coming down here, and are you getting to this screen?
Yep.
Okay, and you're saying when you click, it's not letting you double click onto it.
Yeah, click use.
So if we hit use,
That's what I get. I don't get that ever.
so it does take a few minutes to load, but this should be your view once it loads. So if this is not happening for you, where you're at this point, you have the listing presentations here. And when you hit use, if this isn't pulling up for you, this next screen, you really want to reach out to the development team to make sure that your system is working correctly.
Got it. Thanks.
Yep.
And I have a question, Ben. So where the listing presentation, where it includes like the comparable properties, is there a way to import that in from MLS, or is that all manual?
So it's manual, but we do have that connection with the MLS through the KWLS right here. So if you are, depending on, so short answer is a no. If it automatically brings in compatible properties for you, that is not currently how it's working. You have to go through, find your compatible properties, and then put that information into the flyer.
Okay, and then you can like copy and paste a photo from the MLS?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
So I'm just showing you right here. If I'm just dragging something over, I can identify down here under the KWLS photos from the MLS, photos and information from the live MLS right here. So if I type in 123 Main Street, let's say that 123 Main Street, this is a feed from the MLS. Now I'm choosing the listing, right? Now I'm choosing the listing. Now I have the photos that are on the MLS and the listing details from the MLS. So I don't have to go back to the MLS to view it. But one thing to just keep in mind, taking this piece of the tool belt with a grain of salt, you still want to make sure that you're asking for permission to use any of the photos, etc., that you can find here, because this does give you access, but as we all know, as real estate agents, you need to ask before you can utilize people's photos, etc. Does that answer your question? I'm not sure if I'm understanding your question to be able to answer it. So
Yeah, no, that's perfect. Thank you.
awesome. Okay, I'm gonna give it back over to
Did we lose Tyler?
I'm back on.
Okay, there you are.
I'm sorry. Yep,
Okay.
Tyler, all of you.
Did
He's gonna
I,
jump in.
did I mess anything up? Because I cannot see. Let me see.
We are on the
Oh,
recaps and the ahas that you guys have.
Oh, cool. I was gonna actually, why I lost you, I was going to myself log in a command as like just an agent, if anybody wanted to see that, or were you guys able to kind of figure out if your system isn't working that way?
It may be because of the type of computer he was on, he needs to call the help desk, but I went in as well on my command and it took a while to load, but it did pop up for editing.
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to check because I use Mac too, and it seemed to be fine.
Also, just if you're on a Mac or a PC, make sure you're using Google Chrome. Sometimes it helps to go into the private viewing section, incognito mode. That sometimes helps. Also, you might need to go in and clear your cache. That sometimes
Brian
helps as well.
also said he's on a Mac and he had to go into preferences, websites, and allow the site to communicate. He had an Apple ad blocker on until he changed that. He couldn't edit.
Cool.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thanks.
And this is why we do that. Awesome. Okay, so I think, let's see, you are on ahas. We were still there. Okay, yeah, so it sounds like we got some questions answered, and you guys will definitely be able to add some items to your success list, hopefully based on this exercise. And so, one thing we're going to do with every class, the goal of our time together is to help you think, feel, act, and use what you've learned from Ignite, and understanding your big why and achieving it and why we do this and pour into you. I took Ignite multiple times. I've taught it multiple times. I'm a big advocate for it. So let's kind of go over a couple of these and help me out, guys. We're at the end here and we're wrapping up. So definitely come off mute for me, but who can kind of tell us how has your thinking changed? What ideas or mindsets were new to you just from today's examples and anything we covered?
The templates were huge, so valuable.
Awesome. And if that's all you took, Sean, then I'm happy. And everybody's going to take something different. And for all of us, we all hear something different, with the same information. So with the templates being huge, where's your brain going to right now? What are you going to use? What are you going to change? What are you going to implement?
Well, I'm always looking for I don't know if this is politically correct to say, I'm always looking for more bullets to put in my chamber so that I can be well armed when I go out and meet with clients. And this is just another bit of ammunition. I mean, I also loved the 5 W's and the H questions. That's just another thing in my arsenal that I'm going to use. Once again, very, very inspirational, very, very motivational today.
Cool, awesome. So it sounds like your business will have some type of productivity increased. Your clients will benefit from some of the conversations you'll be able to have now just from doing this. So that's awesome too. Who else? What do you feel differently about? What was meaningful to you today? Kind of like Sean was saying, who picked up on what? And Valerie, if you see anything in the chat, you can go ahead and talk about that too.
Yeah, people are liking the templates and designs. It's kind of going into command. So that was quite helpful.
Good, awesome. And so the next one was talking about the behaviors, but the last one was tools. So it sounds like, the tools and the models and the systems we use in KW, you guys will as well. Bridget, what do you got?
My personal favorite thing was toward the beginning earlier when it was mentioned about setting them up in MLS to show them the comps in their neighborhood that are coming on the market now. Because if you do the automated emails, they'll see them. And if they really love that neighborhood and they just need a bigger home, they might actually choose to buy something that you showed them in the email of the new listings. You know what I mean? It might motivate them. That's crazy. That's a crazy good idea for any of the care calls, any of the like 33 touch. That's amazing because they'll get an email from you every day too. And if they're not interested, they'll just delete it, but it says their name right at the beginning of it, or our names right at the beginning of the email. I know because an agent is doing it to me.
Love it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
One other thing we can do too is I've always implored any of our agents on the team or anybody who's taken my Ignite classes, set yourself up on all of this as well. So whether you have an email that you don't use much or you need to create one because yours is too overcrowded, just create a free Gmail, set yourself up on auto campaigns, action plans, MLS search alerts, neighborhood search alerts, all that good stuff. So you know exactly what you're providing, what you're sending to your clients. And I mean, you'll have nothing but relatable experience and conversations with them. And just like it was said, somebody's doing it to her. And imagine if Bridget was doing it to others, and just that mindset shift on the right day at the right time during the right part of the year, they say to themselves, man, I could live there. And in order to live there, I just got to sell this. And all I have to do is sell it for this price in this amount of time. And guess whose name was on the email? Bridget. And who are they going to reach out to? Bridget. So awesome. Give me one more. We'll move on to the next couple slides and then we're out of here.
Well, we have Kevin who wants to say something, and then before he jumps on, we have Jennifer who said she liked how to make presentation or to make the listing presentation by using comparable market analysis. So that was one of her favorites. And then is it Kelvin and Kristen?
Awesome.
Yeah, hey guys. Yeah, so what stood out for me was the ABCs. I think it sort of like lays it out in a way where you know exactly what to do, when to do it. So I think aside from all the other great information that was given, I think the ABCs pretty, it pretty much lays it out in front of you and says, hey, this is what you need to do. I just had one sort of last question in regards to the listing presentations. As far as other languages is concerned, is this available in like Spanish or any other language that I can present to prospective clients?
Ben, do you know if we can change our templates language?
I think they have a Spanish one. I'm not 100% sure, but I know agents in our office have had it converted to another language for them or translated.
I don't believe that is right now, I don't believe that is a one button where we can click and then it gets changed into another language. I think it's more that agents are taking it up on themselves to just go in and create that presentation in that another language. I'm sure it's something that is going to eventually be added, but at this current point in time, I don't believe that there is that one button to translate your presentation. But
Right.
if there is, please reach out, because I would love to know where that is, if it is possible. But
You would think that it could be there, because, we have over 1,100 locations worldwide, and somebody in another country isn't reading the English version, right?
correct.
So that's a great question. I'm going to ask it to my tech person in my office. If I get an answer, I'm going to get the roster of everybody who attended today, and I will definitely reach out to you about that.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Yes, and we have Lourdes, who said she loves the tips about connecting questions or learning about the listing presentation.
Awesome. Yeah, the connecting questions are not only used in real estate, you're going to end up diving deeper, like Valerie was saying, and I like to refer to it by scuba diving, right? You got surface level questions, and then you can go scuba diving with somebody, and you can learn so much about them. It's going to show up in personal conversations, family conversations. You'll find yourself scripting people that are in your world every day if you get natural enough about it. Because when we're watching our favorite movies with our favorite actors and actresses, do we ever just sit there and think like, they're scripting this, how dare them? No, it's coming out so natural and so clean that we enjoy the movie, and we don't think like that. And when you get to that point in your career and your life, you start to help a lot more people than you think. Jennifer, you're off mute.
Oh, sorry. I was actually typing my question. I didn't realize those. I was just wondering, because this is my first time attending the Ignite. I was just going to put that in a note here. And I was just wondering, is it something that we can just attend at any I know there was like a daily schedule till the end of the month. So is it something we can do regularly or as we have time? Sorry about the interruption.
Oh, no, that's okay. It's a good question. So are you asking if Ignite is accessible at any time?
Or just like, I know it starts like the 9 a.m. Like weekdays, like different topics every day. So if I can't make like a certain day, like will handouts be available for that session another time if we wanted to, or like I guess we can attend every day if we're available.
Yeah, so you do get as long as you register for each one. So if you've registered for all of them, you'll get individual links to the student resources, which you'll have PowerPoint, you'll have the printouts, you'll have the toolkit, you'll have the instructions. Oh. So yeah, once you have all that, you'll be all linked up.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, thank you. This has been wonderful.
Yeah, just make sure you're registered for each one.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. And then it looks like Bridget was able to help us out there too. And the Facebook groups, make sure you're monitoring those. Cool. All right. Well, we are getting there. So
yes, daily success habits.
Yeah. Where are we?
Get to that.
Yep. Okay. So basically, we'll transition into the daily success habits, which is build your database, script practice, lead generate, and contract practice, which is that optional one that we weren't going to do today. So, the basics of the daily success habits is memorizing and internalizing scripts. Learning scripts is super important. I just told you, your favorite movies, you're not sitting there and you're not, wondering, is this scripted? Were they able to say that on their own? Did the director and producer make them say this? Because no matter what the answer is, it's so natural, it comes out that way. And just as a doctor learns anatomy before working with patients, right? Agents need to learn scripts to prepare and to have meaningful conversations with clients. So, with the scripts, you control the conversation. By using purposeful language that helps you get to the end point, and that is to close a transaction. They help us communicate our value. once we have internalized the scripts, made them ours, so to speak, with our presentation and our tonality, you add your value proposition, which will help lead generation efforts and lead to more closed deals. And then, scripts help you uncover motivation, both buyer, seller, and identify objections, so you can handle them up front. They allow you to have rehearsed responses that deliver powerful messages in a way that the consumer would best understand. And then it also allows you to ask questions in ways that they will be able to quickly share the information that you need in order to better serve them. And then, of course, as an agent, it helps you build confidence. So that's how important scripts are, why you need to internalize them and personalize them. Because yes, if you read, we'll go back to LP Mama again, it's just such an easy acronym: location, price, motivation, agent, mortgage, appointment. So if you just read it, right, you get a Zillow call, a realtor call, you're calling your database, SOI, and a location, the first thing it says is ask them about location. Is this the only area they're buying in? Well, if you go, is this the only area you are buying in? Okay. How did you form your price, right? Like, that's robotic. That is a script. You are not getting that client. I promise you that. But like Valerie and I did, we role played. We each took a turn on each side of the fence, and it was natural. It was natural because she talked the way that she talked. She didn't try like being a robot or changing the way that she delivers a message. And I, just because I was role playing as a consumer and a client, I actually didn't lie about anything that was said, as well as my motivation. It is what it is. I was natural about it. So it's super important. And, when we get our calls, we listen to our calls on our team every Monday in our team meeting, because our Zillow calls are recorded. You can have that option. And so we use those for training purposes. And something we stress, and I'm going to stress, whether it's buyer or seller scripts, it's not about the script. It's not about the subject, house at matter. It's about creating conversation, building rapport, gaining trust, getting to the appointment. If they're calling you, more than likely, they're not buying the house that they're calling you on. I can tell you that. More than likely, they're not. So it's not about that house. It's not about you. It's about them. It's about learning them, creating conversation, and building rapport. They're calling in about Denver, Colorado. Awesome. Is Denver, I see this house located in Denver. Is Denver the only area you're looking to live in? No, I would live in XYZ. Awesome. And what's bringing you to the general area of those surrounding towns? For this reason. Okay, awesome. So that's pretty important to you? Yeah, it really is. Great. If you don't mind, I see that this house is listed that you're calling about at $550,000. Is that about the price range you want to be in? Yeah, I mean, I'd like to be anywhere from 500 to $1 million. Wow, right? One question just got you up to $1 million price range. So that's awesome. Good for you. That's a healthy budget. If you don't mind me asking, how did you end up getting that budget? Have you talked to a lender or a bank, and you talked to somebody about that already? Or is that just what you're comfortable with? Well, no, we make, a couple $100,000 a year. We don't have much debt. We're putting 20% down. And, 7 months ago, I talked to Bank of America, and they said about that. Great. Well, I got good news for you, because interest rates are way down compared to 7 months ago, and you might be able to afford more for the same payment. We'll talk about that soon. Oh, by the way, have you been on the inside of any houses yet? Which is asking them for their agent. Oh, you have. How did you get in there? See, like, I could do that in an elevator because I've practiced it so much, and you're never going to know that that is a thing in the world that exists that is called LP Mama, and an acronym has been made for it. It's super important that you get your scripts internalized, you're practicing them, you have role play partners, you have accountability partners. The purpose of this is to, of course, get closed transactions, but to help as many people as we can, and to gain and gather referrals, and to get this momentum built in your career. Valerie, how has scripting helped you?
It's helped me quite a bit, because I'm ready when the question's asked. I know exactly what I'm gonna say. It just rolls off my tongue. I'm not, and these scripts, you don't memorize them for verbatim. You tweak it to whatever makes you comfortable. So you're able to just talk organically to your clients. It's really easy to just be responsive as soon as they ask, well, how's the market? Well, you should be knowing what the market's like. And then if there's objections, well, I'm not ready to list right now. And then automatically you need to start talking about why they need to list right now based on the market and pricing and the timing of it and the rates. So it's really educating yourself with your scripts more than anything, just so you're just ready to answer anything or any objection they have in front of you at that time.
Love it. Awesome. Okay, well, I think that is it for today, guys. What, if any, do people out there have left for questions based on just today's information about finding seller leads, converting seller leads, gauging motivation, categorizing them, pre-listing questionnaire, pre-listing packet, listing presentation? What's still left out there that people have for questions, if anything?
Yeah, I just have one question. Where can I find the recording of this class?
That is a good question.
They just
Ben,
put it
do
in
you
the
know that?
chat box. So there's a YouTube link he added, and then if you're on the Facebook group, there should be recordings listed on the side so you can watch it over again. But
Awesome.
I believe in the chat box, he listed the YouTube link.
I see it. Thank you.
Perfect. Thanks for asking.
So you guys should probably make sure you're practicing these scripts. You should maybe pick a partner in your office and just kind of go through the scripts that you have in your participant guide.
Yeah. Cool, I love it. Valerie, Ben, you got anything before we say goodbye?
Yes, I have one quick thing, and that's if people could, please take this Ignite survey. Just scan this QR code that's on your screen or type in this link. Please fill it out for us because it does help us with putting these Ignite classes together.
Awesome. Yeah, and this is super, super important, like you said, for putting them together. Ignite is super great in person. And in the beginning of COVID, it was a little tough on Zoom. And now I even just told somebody on my team earlier that reached out, I said, it's getting so much better and so much easier. And I appreciate that. I love the multiple instructors. So the feedback that you leave really helps us out. Cool, guys. Well, thanks so much. My information's in the chat. Valerie, hopefully put yours. Ben, put yours.
Yep.
We'll all hopefully see each other soon.
Yeah, good luck out there, everyone. You can do this.
All right.
All right, thanks.